I'd like to call this meeting to order on April 18th of the Dexter Township Board of Trustees. Would everyone like to rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next we'll take roll call. Laura Sanders. Here. Michelle Stivalelli.
Present.
Karen Sakanka.
Yes.
Lonnie Scott.
Here.
Karen Nolte. Here. Maris Metz.
Here.
And myself, Diane Rakovich, here. Just a few supervisors' remarks. I just want to thank everybody who's here from the community tonight. We have lots of people speaking, so thank you for joining us. Last week, we had, or 2 weeks ago, we had a strategic planning day for the for the Dexter Area Fire Department that was led by Lonnie Scott, and it was really a good opportunity for the chief and the board and firefighters to get together and really talk about the direction that they want the fire department to be going in, things like making strategic planning, long-term planning for all the equipment that needs to be, how the equipment needs to be replaced and refurbished and all kinds of things. So it was really a great opportunity to start working on that. And Lonnie, I want to really thank you for coming in and doing that with us. We will be joining with Webster Township on creating and improving the culvert on Huron River Drive and North Territorial over by Bullions. We've applied for a grant to do that, which will only have to pay 12.5% of the total expense. So that is, I'll keep you guys updated on that. And I just wanted to give a kudos to Mark Williams, who is the executive director or the facility manager of WWRA. So maybe some of you saw the article in the Sun Times about leading the charge to a greener future. Really good article about the recycling programs that we have in Dexter Township, or in the townships in the area, Western Washtenaw. And I just want to, thank, this will be my last meeting as supervisor, so I want to thank all of the community members who have been with me and all of the board members and the staff. It's been an honor to serve the community. And I will be continuing my participation on the Dexter Area Fire Department and be an active member of the Dexter Township community. So thank you. So, is there anyone that has a conflict of interest with any of the items? Anyone on the board that has a conflict of interest with any of the items on the agenda tonight? Seeing none, we will move on to first call for public comment. So if you would like to address the board, please come to the podium and try to keep your comments to 3 minutes. Give your name and address. Anyone like to come and speak in the public? Okay. Seeing none, the next item is the approval of the agenda. So would someone like to make a motion to approve the agenda?
I can move to approve the agenda.
Someone like to second?
But we discussed
Yeah, then
after
we'll
we second.
discuss.
Okay, I'll second.
I have one change to to the agenda. Unfortunately, I put Bill Riley is here from the Chelsea Senior Center, and I put Chelsea Library. I'm sorry about that, Bill. It's a wonderful library, but he's not talking about that tonight. So it'll be 7B is Bill Riley from the Chelsea Senior Center.
Supervisor, we should make a budget amendment for the retirement under general government.
Okay,
I did highlight this location.
okay. So we'll put that under resolutions, 10D, budget amendment for MERS.
Correct.
What are you doing that in? Under 10D, under, well, it says resolutions, we'll make a, we'll put it, under 10, we'll add D, budget amendments, amendment for MERS. Any other amendments to the agenda? All in favor of approving the agenda?
I'm sorry, can I ask, do we have, is there like a handout or something for the budget amendment before we add it to the?
There was not anything handed out. I did have it highlighted on the second revenue and expenditure report. It was just an error where that location wasn't funded for our defined benefit MERS past retirees.
So it is one of the pages that are in the packet?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else before we vote?
It was just a budgetary error.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The budget is approved, or the agenda is approved. And then approval of the minutes. So we have 4 meetings to approve minutes for, but the public hearing can go with the budget workshop meet, or with the, no, I guess we have 4 separate ones. So the first approval of the minutes is for the March 14th, 2023 budget workshop. Somebody like to move to approve that?
I'll move to approve the March 14th, 2023 budget workshop meeting minutes.
Second?
Any discussion on that special meeting? Seeing none? All in favor of approving those minutes for the March 14th, 2023 budget workshop meeting? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's approved. And then for the March 21st, 2023 public hearing and the March 21st, 2023 regular BOT meeting. Someone like to move to approve those minutes?
I'll move to approve those minutes.
Second? Metz?
I do have one item of discussion.
Yes.
On page 6 of the minutes from the meeting, and this is just a question, when we're talking about staff salaries and hourly wages under letter G, it's noted that trustee Sakinga proposed a monthly salary for the deputy clerk, but then it jumps right to trustee Scott proposed a middle-of-the-road approach, but we never state what the other
I noticed that too.
the other end was, which was, I believe.
I wonder if we could just, trustee Scott proposed $15 an hour, period, and strike a middle-of-the-road approach.
That works as well. It just struck me as we left a part out, so either
Okay.
changing that language or.
And I had a related comment, which is
So
on
did we
page,
decide we're just scratching out a middle-of-road approach? Okay. Okay, sorry, thank you.
sorry, and with, if you go to page 7, this is about Felicia Abbott's comments. At the top, it says $15 a month is not a lot of money, but I think that was $15 an hour. And she believes everyone has value on one area where mistakes are made cancels out everything that a person does within their job. I don't think that's, I think she said one area where mistakes are made doesn't cancel out everything else a person does. Or we could just delete that second part of the sentence. And she's nodding, so I think she thinks that, yeah, she intended to say that making one mistake doesn't cancel out your value, your value.
Okay. Any other? Okay. we'll take a vote to approve the minutes as amended for the March 21st public hearing and regular BOT meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Move on. The last set is April 3rd, 2023 special meeting. Someone like to make a motion to approve?
Second.
Any discussion on the special meeting minutes? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Phew, got through that. That was a lot of meeting minutes. So at our last BOT meeting, we had an open letter to Detroit Edison to talk about the response during the storms in February. And we asked them if they would join us and respond. Molly Coy Lumpert is here with Jamal Robertson, thank you. And they have, there's a written letter that they have responded to our letter with, and that is at the podium also with the agenda. And they are here tonight to talk about the services that Detroit Edison is providing and how they're trying to improve and their commitment to the community. So thank you very much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you Supervisor Radovich, and we appreciate the board allowing us to come here tonight. I'm Molly Lumpert-Coy, I'm a regional manager. I've been with the company for 31 years, 4 years really over the Washtenaw area. I service Monroe County and Lenawee as well. My family has been a part of the Dexter community, my extended family, for over 150 years. We have one of the Sesquicentennial farms, used to be a farm that they've had, and Fran and Ed Coy service, Fran Coy Salon locally too. So I care deeply about this community and just know that a lot of my personal family lives out here. Jamal Robertson is our associate regional manager, and he works with Washtenaw County as well. So we did a short presentation, so we'll just kind of walk you through the short presentation. So we had really a 50-year storm in the ice storm that occurred. And I'll talk a little bit about the weather patterns we've seen. So with this historic storm, severe icing that occurred for literally 12 hours. And the level of icing on the branches was like 0.625 inch, which is the equivalent of putting baby grand pianos on the branches. It was 600 pounds. So when and I'm sure you saw many trees come down, many large sections of trees, that's like the worst case scenario for utilities. It's worse than wind, it's worse than tornadoes. And I was just down with Dundee a couple of weeks ago when they had the EF0 tornado that touched down in the city. But certainly ice can do a lot of damage. So in 2017, our state was struck with a once-in-a-century windstorm, hurricane force winds, 68 miles per hour. I think that's the storm that took down a lot of your trees all throughout Dexter Township. I remember a war zone literally going down here, and DTE stepped up and we helped clear a lot of that for the community between Dexter and the village and the township during that time. And then in 2021, Michigan experienced a period of 12 back-to-back storms. In that period, there were 4 tornadoes. And then as of March 2023, we faced the largest ice storm in a half a century, spanning from Lake Michigan to Lake Erie, immediately followed by a heavy snowstorm with some 45-mile-per-hour winds. So we've certainly seen a lot of changes in weather patterns and more robust storms over the last few years. Turn to the next slide. This just kind of gives you a little snapshot of ice accumulation. As I had mentioned, the ice was so severe, it literally took out entire trees or sections of trees. Meteorologists from across the country forecasted that Michigan would be at the epicenter of the storm, which it was. We proactively prepared several hundred public safety teams. Literally 1,000 linemen from other states came in to support DTE during this period. We have a mutual aid agreement, as I see our fire personnel in the back of the room know very well, but we work very closely with mutual aid groups from all around the region in multiple states. At its peak, the storm buildup, as I mentioned, was 0.65 inches, and so that was significant. The weight of the trees affected and took down many power lines. 650,000 of our customers lost power during that storm. And for the first time, we had the largest number of downed power lines, literally 10,000 wire downs. And that was the largest storm in our history that had the most downed wires. So it was very significant. So how did we respond to the storm? Well, we certainly would have liked to have restored folks much quicker, given the challenges that the storm presented. We mobilized more than 4,000 field employees, represented the largest response team, and assembled by DTE to secure the downed power lines. Here within the Dexter area, we had protection crews, we call them our wire down crews, and damage assessment out here as of Wednesday night of the storm. They were out here Thursday, they were out here Friday. You saw line crews and restoration crews coming out on Friday. Our immediate need was to take care of the hazards, right? So those 10,000 wire downs, that was the first priority. So we had to tape them, we had to secure them, we had to do a lot of cut and clears. And then come back, once we had assessed the damage, come back and do the restore. So you might not have seen line trucks, but folks in their regular cars or trucks were out here on Wednesday night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, into the next week. As we continue on, temporary repairs for the electric system were occurring, but what happened, because we had 12 hours of icing, we were out there trying to make some of those temporary repairs, and the icing brought the trees down, took out the temporary repairs. So it created an even more challenging experience for us. Once all customers were eventually restored, the crews in place made the permanent repairs, and so once we were able to come out, we did the damage assessment, we understood what kind of resources we needed, then we came back with the permanent repair work. Slide. So this slide just kind of gives you a little snapshot of our prioritization process. So from a prioritization process, those down power lines are number one, right? So we look at things that could impact public safety, public trapped scenarios. Then we look to critical infrastructure facilities, hospitals, nursing homes, police or fire facilities that have no generators, pump stations. And then we go into things like schools and the largest number of customers on any one circuit, and then down to what we call singles. And so even at the single level, there was so much tree damage. It was just extensive work that was being performed. So I kind of wanted to call that out just to help you understand the process of how we go about prioritization. Next slide. Grid investments that lead to improved reliability. I have a wonderful message to share, and that's we're making a significant amount of investment in this community. So recent improvements in the grid, this is overall, and then I'll take it down to Dexter, but over the past 5 years, DTE has invested over $5 billion in electrical grid, tree trimming, hardening our systems, putting in wires that are hardy wires, that if there is limbs coming down, they're able to adapt to that. We are going to be working very hard to automate the grid system. Automate means putting in things like reclosures. So if you have an outage on any one circuit, you can minimize the amount of folks that are impacted by putting in these reclosure systems. In 2022, we trimmed more than 6,500 miles of trees and inspected and worked on 8,500 circuit miles. This is really critical because most of the outages that occur are tree related. I would say 3/4 of all the outages that occur are tree related. Next slide. And so this slide just talks about where we're making those heavy investments in the grid. We're certainly working on our latest DGP plan, which, we look at strategically and accelerate our investments and calls. $1 billion we've invested in the grid in recent years and $1.5 billion by 2025. First, we must continue to invest in enhanced tree trimming. At most of the customers, are aware that that's the biggest source of problems for reliability. And that's what our studies have shown to date. Next slide. So Dexter Township, so over the last 10 years, we've invested about $7.5 million in Dexter Township, which is a significant investment. We actually worked with you
Is that 17?
$17.5 million. Yep. Significant rebuilds of the overhead poles and wires after the aftermath of the tornado that swept through the area. Replacement of substation transformer at the Diamond substation, which services both the city of Dexter and Dexter Township. Working with you, you sold us property so that we could build the Cala substation in partnership with the township. That's located North Territorial. We purchased this from the township. The first circuit of that substation was energized in 2022, covering the northwest portion of Dexter Township. We decommissioned the old Dexter substation and upgraded adjacent poles, wires in partnership with the city as well. And the Diamond and Todd substations, we are trimming out this year. I know I talked, I think, with the recording secretary because she met with some of our crews in her yard. But literally, that's about $2.4 million of work that we're doing right now that will be completed by the end of May. Future investments in the area, about $7 million of investments will be going on. We're going to be building out a second Cala circuit. And so we certainly will need your partnership as we secure easements, construction easements, which was a little bit of a challenge when we were building the substation. We need the citizens to work with us and understand that that's so important that, we want to continue to upgrade their reliability, and so that will be very helpful. We're also going to do additional upgrades at the Diamond substation, so some significant work that'll be performed there into the next, 24, 25, 26 time frame. So that is certainly, a good story to tell. While we didn't have the response that we had hoped for with the storm, given the circumstances of the storm, it was a very, very challenging storm for us, being the largest number of downed wires that we've ever experienced in our history. I've been with the company for 31 years, and I've never seen an ice storm like this, literally. And back to back, I think I worked close to 90 hours, each week of those storms. We've had about 4 or 5 storms so far. When the tornado touched down in Dundee, I went down and helped with that as well. So, we certainly want to do better. We want to continue investing and working in partnership with Dexter Township. We're a part of your community. Our employees live here. We've supported Dexter schools, sports programs, Dexter Days, holiday parade, and Borden Hall, you name it. So we've been a partner in the community, and we want to continue being a partner in the community. So I hope I've kind of answered the questions, between the letter and this presentation, and I so appreciate the time to be here tonight.
Thank you. That was really thoughtful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Does the board have any questions that they would like to? Lonnie?
I do. I appreciate you both being here and appreciate the response to the letter. I don't appreciate DTE's response that this is simply because of weather. And I just don't, I don't buy it, because I've been around for a long time and believe that it's actually a lack of investment over decades that has led us to be in this position. So while I appreciate the answers, I do have several other questions. And I want to say as we get started that I was very frustrated, as a lot of residents were when this happened. And so that may come through in my comments today, but I want you to know that that is not directed at you. I understand that these decisions are made at a very high level, but you are the representative here today, and I'm hoping that we can still get some additional answers to the questions, because I think that some of the questions that we asked we were looking for very specific answers, and we got some sort of vague responses. So The first thing that I want to start with is to ask about DTE's cuts to operations in the months prior to the outages. I'm looking at a Bridge Detroit news story from Paula Gardner, which was published on March 13th, that says that DTE Energy's financial statements show that the state's largest utility is asking for higher customer rates while also seeking to raise dividends. It paid out $700 million to investors in 2022, then paused hiring and maintenance to hit revenue targets and pay dividends earlier this year. DTE Energy cut its operations budget to meet earnings projections months before a historic storm on February 22nd left more than 450,000 of its customers without power. And that's according to company officials as they recently released year-end earnings. Job openings went unfilled, contractors were eliminated, and overtime was limited. Maintenance work was postponed, though a DTE representative says its tree trimming program is not a part of recent cuts. The mid-November budget cuts helped keep DTE's 100-year-old dividend payout streak to investors alive. 3 weeks before the ice storm, the Detroit-based utility announced a 95-cent per share dividend for shareholders, bringing the full-year cash payout for investors to $710 million. I'm only going to read a little bit more, and then I'll stop. The day after the storm, so while many of us here in Dexter Township were still sitting in the cold, DTE's CEO hosted a conference call with the Wall Street analysts, telling them the company had delivered strong financial results, continuing our excellent track record of creating shareholder value. So I asked in the letter several questions about DTE's investment and their commitment to really increasing energy reliability. And I think that I will pause there to give you a chance to respond, but I would really like to hear more about not what we are projecting to do, though that's important, but why we haven't done some of these things already. Why we continuously have some of the highest rates in the country for energy and the least reliability. And how we expect that just tree trimming or the things that you've outlined are going to fix that problem when for decades that has been DTE's answer and it hasn't fixed it yet.
So obviously there's a lot of content you just shared. I wanted to go back to the CEO comments to shareholders. First of all, our shareholders, the average shareholder is 71 years old, is a widow, and getting support through the company. So from that perspective, we go and file rate cases so that we are able to invest in our infrastructure. So that's very important. But with respect to any direct maintenance work on our line system or tree trimming, that was not included in any of the cuts. And this is directly from our corporate communications folks. The financial performance referenced, that basically said this is going to be a lean year. We've had 5 storms so far. One cost-cutting item, among other things, on a chart referred to deferring some maintenance. Our CEO said during the call that the lean plan would not affect reliability, contrary to later claims by DTE detractors. In his testimony before the legislature, and Trevor Lauer actually attended both the House and the Senate, both energy committees, and explained this in detail, that the deferred maintenance meant things like cutting our grass at our facilities, right? Or paving parking lots where we had planned to do that, but nothing associated with the direct impact on the wires or the lines. With respect to the storms, absolutely. I wanted to share that because you can see that the magnitude of the storms is certainly changing. We're having much more powerful storms. We admit that we want to have a stronger system, and that's when I talk about the automation of the system, things like reclosure work to minimize outages. Certainly the investments in tree trimming work that we're doing are huge. Getting our tree trim on a shorter time frame cycle, so going from something that might be a 10-year cycle down to a 5-year cycle so that we can invest and make sure that in beautiful wooded areas like Dexter Township that we're on a shorter cycle to make sure that that those trees are properly trimmed. So investment in automation in the grid certainly will make a difference going forward. And we know we need to do better, and we've admitted that we're striving to work to do better. That is our goal.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Lonnie, when we talked about sending this letter, we talked about CCing the Public Services Commission. Did we do that, and did they respond?
They actually responded today, acknowledging that they had, there's an automated response that says we received the complaint and gave it a case number. They responded today to say that they had, that they were told that DT had responded via letter and copied a copy of the letter that we received here. And that's all that I've heard from them so far. I did respond back to that, just saying that there would be additional questions beyond what was submitted. But they did assign a case number.
Any other questions for DT? Molly?
Has there been any cuts in personnel? I think one of my major frustrations through the storm was we were told to call in to report outages, which I find amazing that DTE can't see that a whole area is out and that we have to call in. But then when we do, the response was, no, you're back online. And we're like, no, we're not. We're not back. Oh, no, you were back 2 days ago. No, we were not back 2 days ago. So it's the lack of information that's being shared with the community. You're told it's done, and so you're wiped off the map, and they're not even working on you because supposedly we're back, and we weren't. So there's a breakdown of communication there, and I don't know. I guess I'm amazed that we have to call in and report our outages when a whole grid is out. Isn't there a way that you see that this grid is out, or do you just rely on people calling and reporting that their neighborhoods are out?
So let me clarify some of that. We launched a new outage map. And so that outage map had just been tested, and so we were working out kinks in the outage map. I think there were some periods of challenges with that outage map. We're continuing to work through some of those logistical IT elements of the outage map, and that will continue to improve. We have what's called smart meter technology at most areas, most homes, and that does feedback information. However, there's scenarios where you could have a bad transformer at a bank of transformers. So we still encourage, folks to call in just to verify. We did callbacks, we did customer health checks. There was a period of time where in the very beginning, the extensive damage of the storm, even with damage assessment, as our crews got out there, they realized they might need additional tree trim or they might need additional support. So it might have taken a longer estimate to repair. And so they found that out upon arrival, and they might have needed additional resources. We call that trouble behind trouble, where you might find additional trouble once you get out there. So I think part of the outage map introduction, being as new as it was, did complicate matters. But that the algorithms and all of that is being looked at and improved upon, so that you not only have the option of calling, but you have the option of doing your outage electronically.
Thank you.
I have
Laura?
a question, yeah. So my parents are 91 and 93, and this is actually more in Oakland County, but they had a downed wire in their yard, and they were out for 10 days. And they're a little stubborn to leave their home, and so they had their little hats on, right, for like 4 days, and then they had to leave, so they went to my brother's. But I was calling DTE, and I was reporting that I was very concerned because especially when they were still in the house, everything went out, the sump pump, everything, right? And they were freezing, and they were scared to leave. And I said to the person on the phone was very nice, but it took me a very long time to get a person. Right, and then I said, these are vulnerable adults, like very vulnerable. And I felt like there was no process for prioritizing like a really difficult or vulnerable situation where people are actually in danger. Like they had, and nobody else in their neighborhood was out. So it was just them, and they were stuck. It was just their yard, right, with a downed wire. And it took 10 days. So I wondered, I guess my question is, how do you prioritize if something like that is happening where there's actually a dangerous situation and there's vulnerable people and it keeps getting reported? What's the process?
So what we did is we worked with the emergency management directors of each of the counties and established overnight facilities for folks to be able to come in and get refuge from the situation. And so we worked to publish and promote those overnight facilities, daytime facilities, several of the libraries. And I can just speak in Washtenaw County. I worked with Ben Pinnett. They opened a series of the public libraries for folks to take refuge in. Also, some community centers were opened. I personally delivered water, blankets, charging kits to a lot of those facilities. We also set up, courtesy vans. We had courtesy vans that were in Washtenaw County, Oakland County, all over, to hand out materials as well, like blankets, waters, charging kits, etc. So we did try and find some warming facilities for folks that might have been in that scenario. If when they called in, they identified, as a senior in that situation, we were trying to move folks up towards the end of the storm that were in that scenario. If they were on medical equipment that was crisis oriented, right, oxygen, or like a black lung scenario, things like that, then we can move them up. If they had medically equipment that needed to life critical have support. So in a scenario where we had seniors, again, we encouraged them to check out the warming centers, check out family, friends. In the interim and towards the end, we were able to try and move those up. But again, we were dealing with those first 4 days, really the 10,000 wire downs that were so critical.
Can I just?
Yeah, in Bloomfield Township.
Can I ask a follow-up question to you
I think
about that?
Maris is
Yeah.
waiting.
No, how do you promote, or how do people that need
How do we
these
find out
services, how, for one, do they know about it if we're not promoting it before a storm? Typically, people don't, think about these things until they actually happen, and then I imagine
You don't have
Laura's
power, so you
90-year-old
can't find-
parents, and
yeah.
then they don't have power
Yeah.
to even contact. How do they know about these resources, and how are they to?
Well, how can we help promote? So how do we, because we as elected officials in Dexter Township, this is the first I've heard about that, and I
Right.
myself was displaced, and I didn't know there were any resources available.
So-
If I knew, then I could,
Right.
we could actually share that information with our community
And
if
can
we
I
knew
just say
about it.
one more thing? I'm a social worker, okay? And I said, I am a social worker. These are my parents. They are vulnerable adults. They need to be treated, they need this service. And I'm really afraid you're not going to get over there because nobody, nobody else in their neighborhood. And it was true. And nobody ever told me about any of those things that you just listed.
So there was radio advertising, there was outreach done to the
But
county
why wouldn't a
emergency
person on the
management.
phone tell me about it? When I say I'm a social worker and I'm calling about vulnerable adults, why wouldn't that person on the phone have that information?
Diane, you got several updates from me, and in that newsletter that we put out, it had links to all of the facilities in Washtenaw County. So I know we did several updates. We did updates with all of the communities on, stuff that was going on during the storm.
But I'm sorry I know it's not your fault. I'm not mean to be targeting you in any way, but I just don't understand why would the person on the phone who's talking with me not have that kind of information about Oakland County to say, this is what's going on there, these are the resources that you can find.
If you would have perhaps talked to the Oakland County municipality.
I assist the regional manager
right, in Oakland County.
So you should have
Yeah.
been told that.
Yeah.
I called the line and went through all the
Right.
stuff until I got a person, and she was very nice, but not helpful.
You should have been told that.
Yeah, Ben Pinnant, I know, put out a lot of information to the local municipalities as well. We had him put out information to, police and fire and responders. So I know that we had, in Washtenaw County, we had 3 or 4 overnight shelters because I delivered materials to those shelters. And then we had a host, I want to say like at least 10 to 15 locations that were open during the day. And most of them were public libraries or community centers.
So that should have been said to me, I think, on the phone.
It should.
It's almost kind of,
Yeah.
it's making me kind of mad that, these.
And I'm sorry you had that experience, certainly.
Okay.
I can tell you that Bloomfield Township is one of the harder hit areas as well, but that still shouldn't have happened to your
Okay,
parents.
thank you.
Because we work very closely with the agencies, that receive, energy assistance funding, that do outreach with folks to get them on payment plan arrangements and all of that. And we work very closely with, in Washtenaw County, the Washtenaw County Sheltering Association. We have constant communication with them as well. But we literally pushed out so many messages, to the, to local contacts. Yes.
What are the resources for our community? Where are the places here in our community?
So
Dexter schools or?
Yeah, so I know a lot of the public libraries, and I'm assuming, I don't have the list in front of me right now, but there is a sheltering list that Washtenaw County pulls for any kind of shelter. It doesn't have to be electrical, issue, it could be tornado, it could be,
Yeah.
Flooding, but they have a list of standard sheltering locations.
Yeah,
A
I
lot
would
of
like to
them,
know.
to the best of my knowledge, were public libraries or community centers.
I can tell you that it wasn't Dexter Library, because I went there to try to get power.
Yeah, and that's what I'm asking.
Yeah,
Do
and it
we
wasn't.
actually have an established sheltering facility here that you guys have established and had a partnership
So
with here in our
we don't
area?
necessarily establish them, we support them, right?
Oh, I see.
We help advance and make sure folks are aware of that. We've taken resources to them. I know
So
there-
who would be in charge of putting that together?
It would be Washtenaw County Emergency Management. If
Okay.
you wanted to make sure that there was a shelter in the Dexter area, and there may very well have been, I don't know, but I do know there was, I was back and forth the locations in Ann Arbor, South Ann Arbor, I was in Ypsilanti, but yeah, there were a variety of locations, at least 10 to 15 locations across the county.
Okay.
Okay, 2 more questions, and then we're gonna, Lonnie, you look like you.
Yeah, I just have, it's 3 final clarification points from the letter that I just want to make sure that I have correct. I think from your presentation, I got this one, but it sounds like the first restoration crews arrived in Dexter Township on Friday. So aside from the.
Wednesday.
On Wednesday, we had damage assessment crews out here and wire down. And there may have been some cut and clearing of wire downs, right? So that we could come back and do final restoration. We were taking care of the immediate hazard.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out, because we already talked a little bit about the app and calling and trying to get information about when stuff would be turned back on. That was one of the most frustrating parts for me. My family had a generator. The generator no longer works. You usually find that out at the exact wrong time. But the restoration estimate was for that day. So we didn't go spend $1,000 on another generator because that was the estimate. But then the estimate was that day, and then the next day, and then the next day, and then the next day. And so we lost, and this leads to the next point, which is, our family and families, I think, all around the township, we lost over $750 in food. We, like everyone else, was offered a $35 statement credit from DTE if our power had been out for 96 hours. When I called to inquire what folks should do about all of the food that they lost, my family is lucky. We could replace that food. Other families are not so fortunate. We were told to file a claim with our homeowners insurance, that wasn't DTE's responsibility. So one, I'd like to know how the $35 credit was determined and why we should be expected to call our homeowners insurance to replace food that may have been lost after being out of power when we rely on a company to provide that power. And then the last question that I have, and then I will be done, is we still did not get a number for the total amount of disclosed and undisclosed political spending that DT spent in the past decade.
So let me start off with the credit. We self and voluntarily imposed a $35 credit for 96 hours. That was to cover the loss of electricity during that period, not to cover food, not to cover hotel costs, not to cover other things. That's what we're allowed to do by the regulator, the MPSC. And so then they have, after this storm, they have imposed going forward, following that what we did, putting in $35 for every 96 hours, any 24-hour period after that, it'll be another $35. So that's what they've imposed going forward. And that, again, was specific to the loss of electricity during that period. But again, knowing that there were sheltering association locations and encouraging folks to, try and move to family and friend locations as well, that's what we could encourage folks to do. I understand there was a lot of loss, and those estimates, unfortunately, because of the severity of the damage, really did get pushed out. They were finding trouble on top of trouble, and that was very challenging for folks, and I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. As for political expenditures, I did share with you in the letter information around that. I gave you the website. You're welcome to go to that website. Everything is transparent. We put all of our donations and information on that website.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for allowing us to be here tonight.
Thank you so much for coming. And great. I really appreciate all your time and consideration for answering the questions and being here and being part of our community.
Thank you, and we wish you the very best. You've been great to work with.
Thank you.
Wish you a
Thank you.
successful future. Thank you, Board.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Next on our agenda is Bill Riley from the Chelsea Senior Center. Hi, Bill.
I'm going to speak in a minute. I'm going to first introduce our board chair, Jerry Wilczynski.
Okay. If you want to come up and make sure David will make sure we can hear you. Thank you, guys. Have a safe ride home.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Bill mentioned my name is Jerry Wilczynski. I'm a resident of Linden Township. I'm the third board chair of the Chelsea Senior Center. Prior to that, I was the CEO of Silver Maples Chelsea, the target community. And I can tell you that working with the folks at the Chelsea Senior Center is a real wonderful opportunity for me, because our senior center basically serves the community in a way of providing outreach and programs and services that go far beyond our senior center itself. We're reaching out to the community, providing support to people that are living in the community, and even have, and Bill will be talking about the Meals on Wheels programs, things like that that we're involved with. But from my perspective, it's the people living out in the community that come in and enjoy the senior center activities and programs, but it's also the services that are provided. And most importantly, things like recent program startup is providing help to the caregivers, the people that have caring for someone at home that has memory loss and conditions like that. And you mentioned you being a social worker, well, how much of a toll that puts on the family. We're creating respite opportunities for family members that are caring for loved ones at home with memory issues and other healthcare issues as well there. So that's just one of the types of programs that a senior center is putting out to the community and inviting the community in and enjoy these kinds of benefits. So I want to thank the Dexter Township for past support of the Chelsea Senior Center. We really do appreciate that. And at this point, I'll just turn over to Bill, our expert.
I don't know about it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Sorry, just one other correction. I'm Bill O'Reilly with the Dex, or with the Chelsea team. Thank you again.
I am so sorry.
Thank you for your long-term support. It's very appreciated. Jerry mentioned the Meals on Wheels. I first have to say, before saying these numbers, among our many clients, we do not deliver to Dexter Township. I believe you folks know that at the Dexter, but we do service other communities. We're proud to say this past month, we marked 10 years where we were the host for the Meals on Wheels program, and in that period, we've prepared and delivered 253,000. Wow.
Yay.
And in terms of our membership, Dexter Township is an important part of it. 10% of our membership comes from Dexter Township, 112 people. We have members in 50 different communities in the area. And behind the city of Chelsea itself in Sylvan Township, you're number 3, moving up the list, is Dexter Township. In addition to the many other things we offer, I've provided you copies of our latest newsletter. In the center there, you'll see our monthly calendar. We have over 250 different events, activities each month. We have 50 different types of activities. It's not bingo anymore. We do offer it if you want to play bingo on Monday and Friday mornings. But
Can anybody play?
Anybody can play.
Yeah, how many bingo spots?
Even kids like yourself can be members of Chelsea Senior Center.
He's talking to you.
We will and will continue to have our focus on seniors, but we do not have an age limit anymore. So people of all ages, we have 20 and 30-year-olds out there side by side with 70-year-olds.
Oh, nice. Cool.
And there are a multitude of other activities we offer. But as Jerry touched on, we also have been having a focus on going outside our walls. The latest example is our Ease the Day program. Some of you may have either a loved one, or it could be a parent or a spouse, or you certainly, I'm sure, know of a situation where somebody may have dementia or some other physical limitation. I know personally it happened to my sister and her late husband, where he had a Parkinson's type ailment that debilitated him, and she became his full-time caregiver. And my siblings and I became concerned about her health because her life was put on hold, and she'll want to know situations like that. The idea of this new Ease the Day program provides on-site, basically, care for that. So you can take your loved one, bring them to the Chelsea Senior Center, leave them for up to 4.5 hours, where they're in great care. We have tremendous staff and volunteers on hand and watch them and provide activities for them, meals and so forth. This is at no cost. If you're in a situation where you have a loved one who can't leave at home for one reason or another, we partner with Catholic Social Services and Jewish Family Services out of Ann Arbor to provide in-home respite care, where somebody will come to your home, a trained person will come to your home, take care of that loved one while you can go out. And it's the same situation whether they're on site or at home. Go out and go shopping, go to a movie, go take a nap, just get a break. And that's what it's all about. Everything I just mentioned is at no cost. That's the type of funding we've been able to secure, and it's one of the many other programs. We've just introduced 3 memory care programs. Another program we have is called GrandPads. That's actually a device, a company called GrandPads, PADS. They're very low maintenance, basic, tablets, computer tablets, where we will come to the home of the person, we'll work with them and show them how to use it, so they can just tap the screen and do a video call with their granddaughter. There's her picture, and they can just call them, or call the family member, or take advantage of telemedicine. Just tap it, and you're connected with your doctor, because many of these people can't leave their homes, and they're failing in health because they're not getting their doctor's appointments. So that's just the type of thing that we're going well beyond our walls to offer. We have all kinds of other activities, services, and so forth. If you haven't been there ever or lately, please come by. We're open weekdays from 8:30 to 4. We welcome people just dropping in. We'd be more than happy to show you around and even give you a try. You can try out many other activities that happen. It's a fantastic group of people, and we're very proud of it. Of our over 1,100 members, they're very active. They keep us going. And now to the ask part. You folks have been very generous, giving us $3,000 in the past. We'd be very appreciative if that happened again. But I will point out that, as I mentioned, Dexter Township makes up 10% of our membership. Yet the $3,000 makes up just about 0.75% of our expenses. And of these 6, between Chelsea, Sylvan, Dexter, Linden, and Sharon Townships, the Dexter Township contribution is the lowest per resident among any of those locations. So we greatly, we realize budgets are tight, but we greatly appreciate if you consider a higher number this year if possible. But again, we're grateful with anything we do, and I personally am grateful for each of years of service and help with the community. Welcome any questions you may have.
I have a comment. I want to thank you for the Mood Lifters program, given that I'm a social worker, clinical social worker. And, I know, and I have a connection of someone who's going. So I'm really excited about that, and I wish that was happening in more communities for elder folks,
This
for
is the
seniors.
second round of it, and we've unfortunately had to turn people away because we had so many people.
Yeah, I bet.
There's only limits so many per class, but we will be doing it again.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I just have a comment, and just to say thank you. And thank you to you too, sir. Thank you. It's good work that you guys do.
Amazing.
I really mean it. Please come on by. I'd love to show it. And I can't hand it off to a better person than with our the senior center. If it wasn't clear already, we are not competitors. We work together with all the other area senior centers to provide for all of our seniors.
Can I just, before we let you go, can I ask you quickly, what are you at, what would be a more commensurate
It could be
level of
$4,000
funding?
would be through.
4,000, and would that make us commensurate with the other communities?
Thank you. Thank you, Bill. O'Reilly. Thank you. And next on our agenda is the Dexter Senior Authority, or Dexter Senior Center, Gordon Smith, their new executive director.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to move this microphone out of the way because it's not turned on anyway.
Oh,
So everybody can hear me.
can you hear? Janice, can you? She's the most important one.
Can you hear me?
Well, your voice will be picked up by their microphones, but that's the best way to get your voice.
Okay, so let's fix
There you
these.
go, it's on. The green light's on.
Okay, the green light is on. Okay,
Okay.
now we're straight. All right,
Because people are listening at home, and
Oh,
when
that's
you
fine.
speak into your microphone, then it picks up on the recording and they can hear at home.
Oh, absolutely. I want to speak to as many people as I can. So, first off, Diane, thank you so much for all the contributions that you've made to not just this community, but the greater Dexter area as well.
Thank you.
It was such a joy being able to speak with you and Maris now about 3 weeks ago about some of the things that were kind of cooking up over there at the Dexter Senior Center. But right now we're going to be focusing on our current operations and not our bigger aspirations. I'd like to be able to have a meeting with the board in more of a closed session so we can talk about some more of the exciting things that we're going to be doing here in the coming months. So, in the packet that was given to you all this evening, I just wanted to go over our quick first quarter updates, our SWOT analysis, talk about the value of the Dexter Senior Center to the Dexter Township, not Webster. We're also going to briefly go over our operating budget, projected growth, as well as our 2023 strategy. So one thing I want to point out is that the Dexter Senior Center has been around for over 50 years, serving the greater Dexter area. And I've been here now for 105 days. Okay, so when I came on board, I had a huge task ahead of me of trying to find a permanent home and secure sustainable funding for our members. And so we are on track for that. So our first quarter results, as you can see, we went from 154 members to 309. That's a 101% increase in within our first quarter, and that number is actually already moved again to 324 as of today. That would be a 115% increase in our membership. So we've also refined our data tracking to report with greater accuracy. We've also identified new fundraising opportunities. We're starting to look more at recreation programs and pursuing funding for through Sparks grants, as well as the Ann Arbor Area Community Fund specifically for recreation opportunities. We've also identified 4 new properties for our new proposed senior center. There's one in particular that I would love to speak to the board about in a closed session on a later date. We're also pursuing new funding sources for long-term sustainability. As Bill pointed out in his presentation, the rising cost of senior centers isn't slowing down, and the population of seniors is also not slowing down. If you look at the SEMCOG data that's provided just in the greater Dexter area alone, by 2045 we're going to have over a 300% increase. That means that our senior center is going to be more need to more seniors at that time and in years between now and then than ever before. So one thing that we've done as a senior center, and we have not done a very good job of it over the years, is engaging the community, being out in the public eye and making sure that we're meeting with business owners, community leaders, and actually communicating our story and communicating it well. So some of the things that we've also done to support our growth is we've started expanding aggressively our programming, not to the extent that Chelsea has, but we are very proud of it. We're now offering more 2 Silver Fit-like programs to our weekly schedule. We're looking at partnering with the library for a movie night and other and similar activities along that vein. We're now offering physical fitness classes 5 days a week, and we've also implemented Craft Mondays. That's actually being led by our program coordinator. She is so innovative. The things that they're doing in that time is absolutely amazing. Our members are finding new ways to express themselves through their creativity. We've also implemented the DSC Ambassadors Program to help us with our community engagement. It's one thing for me to stand here and tell you exactly what the impact of the Dexter Senior Center is from our metrics and the things that we see in the newspaper, where you pointed out that you actually saw me in the Sun-Times. And I've been in the Sun-Times several times.
Yeah.
But we need our members in the Sun-Times. We need to be focusing on who I represent. And so when we're looking at that, the Ambassadors Program is going to be an absolutely essential component to us moving forward, because you're actually going to get to hear from them why it's important. We've also been on WHMI Radio. We were also featured on their podcast. We've also started fireside chats with Gordon to be able to provide the updates for our members with our rapidly changing situations that we have, both with new program offerings as well as the state of our of what new location that we're looking at. What are we doing for sustainable funding? What is our future going to look like? Which literally changes from one day to the next. So currently, municipalities are being asked to increase their contributions, and historically, municipality contributions have been very low to the Dexter Senior Center, and that's with all of them, not just Dexter Township. And so this year, we've seen a significant growth. The city of Dexter, Mayor Keogh and I sat together, and he was able to ensure me with confidence that the city of Dexter is going to double their commitment to us from $16,500 to over $30,000. Scioto Township, a township that gave us $7,000 back in 2007 and hasn't given us a contribution since then, yet we still provide services to Scioto Farms through our Meals on Wheels program. They are now committing to a $22,000 contribution year over year for the next 3 years. And we're still waiting to hear what the Webster Township contribution is going to be like, but from folks that I've spoken with, we're looking at somewhere up in the neighborhood of about $40,000. So why the increased need? Our capacity is increasing, and we need a bigger budget. We need to be able to provide more services. While I'm glad that the Chelsea Senior Center, our partner, is being able to provide these services, I would really like to see the Dexter Senior Center to be the core provider for senior services, not just in Dexter, but the greater Dexter area. So on the next slide, we have our SWOT analysis that we provided. Our strengths, I'm going to let you all read over that in your time. Our weaknesses is that we need sustainable funding, we need a permanent home. The failed millage of 2022 comes up literally in every other conversation that I have with municipal leaders as well as business owners about why it didn't happen, why it failed, why they supported it, why they didn't support it. Those lessons we did learn from them. We have adjusted our strategy, and we are now moving forward with a much bolder strategy. We still have the end of our lease at the end of 2023 with the Encore Theater that is imminent, and we are treating it as if we cannot renew our lease. We're going to be getting into that here in just a moment. We're also looking at the financial support from municipalities. Again, historically, it's been very low. So now is the time for our municipalities to really help support us with giving us a larger contribution, so this way we can continue to grow on pace to be the senior service provider in this area. We also have a increasing population of seniors in the greater Dexter area that continues to grow every year. We, as an organization, need to stop looking at stopgap measures and start looking at long-term sustainable solutions. We cannot do that without sustainable funding. And so our municipalities are going to play a key role in us being able to have that money that we can plan on for the future. So right now, our current budget doesn't allow for us to buy an $8 million facility. If we wanted a 12,000 square foot facility that we would need to house all of our activities for the long term, that's about what it would cost. That price tag is going up every day. So we don't have $8 million, we don't have $800,000 to be able to even put down on a payment for a loan, right? So how do you think that affects our credibility? And am I asking you all to give us $800,000? No. But the more money that we have on our books, the more credible that we do look to donors, so this way we can find those institutional players that are going to be able to provide us the much needed assistance. For our opportunities, I just did want to touch on this. We are going to continue to be highly engaged in community activities. We are monetizing every ounce of our senior center. We're looking at our newsletter and going out and getting partnerships with local businesses and helping to provide marketing to not just our members, but to the members of the community through its increased distribution. We're also looking at pursuing an interlocal agreement with municipalities. That is one item that I do want to discuss when I can meet with you all in closed session, in what regards that is to. We've also recently applied for state and federal appropriations. I remember when I started, I was told that we probably shouldn't be putting our time into pursuing state and federal money. We have, and we have been successful with Congresswoman Debbie Dingell offering her support, Senator Sue Sheen, and we now have both appropriations up with the federal government as well as the state government. We'll have to talk about that at a later time. We're also looking at getting financial support from family foundations. One of the key things that has held our institution back is that we looked at a very fine pot of money. We looked at community donations in our municipalities. I promised my members that I would leave no stone unturned when looking for money. So I've looked at family foundations, private investment firms. I've looked at corporations, small businesses, municipalities, from local all the way up to the federal government. If there's a dime, I'm trying to find it right now. And so we have been very successful in that, and I hope that your contribution tonight is going to help us really take advantage of that opportunity. Our threats, we have a very short time frame. We have less than a year to be able to find a permanent home and create sustainable funding. We're also developing new revenue streams, which is also a threat because, as many of us have been involved in business, you're looking at about 1.5 to 2 years before you have a full realized value of a new revenue line. We're also affecting the growth of the Encore Theater. The Encore Theater continues to house us, and they also have an off-site storage facility that they have to use because we're in that space. That's running on $20,000 a year. So also without being able to develop their green room, they're not able to continue to grow at the rate that they would desire. With the rising cost of construction projects, literally the price tag of us getting a new home goes up every day. So we also look at supply chain disruptions, which could actually hold back our permanent home, even if we get funding, just because with the current supply chain disruptions, it can push construction projects as much as half a year to a full year. So when we're looking at the increasing membership from Dexter Township, has almost doubled, I should have said. That was a typo. In 2022, we had 30 of our members came from Dexter Township. Now we're at 48. That is a 60% increase from Dexter Township, and it will continue to grow in 2023 as we've started engaging more in social media, the newspaper, radio. More people are coming and seeing the change in our culture and our program offerings, and they're getting really excited along with us about what the future is going to hold. So when we're looking at what our growth pattern is going to be, Dexter Township is going to be one of those critical areas where we are going to be getting more and more members from, and so we're going to need to rely on your support. So when we look at our operating expenses and performance, as of right now, without the municipal contributions, we are in the hole. So if everything stays the same and none of the municipalities increase their contributions, we're going to continue to have that same outcome. Our operating costs, again, they increase almost 10 to 12% year over year, and that is not shows no signs of slowing either. So if we look on the next slide, with the financial commitments that are coming from municipalities, that's going to provide us a much needed uptick for our net income. However, there's one problem with that net income. As soon as our lease expires, we're going to be going to almost a full rate of lease agreement, and it is at the bottom end of about $10 a square foot. That's still going to put our rent at almost somewhere between about $2,500 to $4,000. And the reason for that is because the Encore Theater has carried us for the last 3 years with a very humble rent that we have to pay. And so that $29,000 that you see there will actually be evaporated by the increase of a lease agreement, which means I'm right back in the same situation that I'm in right now with trying to provide high quality funding, high quality activities for my members to engage. So when we look at it, we're really on set for a transformative year within the Dexter Senior Center. If our first quarter is any indication of our level of dedication and our adjustment to strategy, we're going to have a phenomenal year, but we do need your support. With community events, we're already on track with participating with the Dexter Gardening Club, the Bluegrass Festival out in Webster, Dexter Days, and Apple Fest. Our current membership goal is to get to 450 members. I wish it could be 1,100 like Chelsea, but we're going to increase the participation of Dexter Township through the Meals on Wheels program, which we are the providers for this area. We were awarded a $25,000 grant from the Dexter Wellness Coalition, and one thing that I'm fully committed to doing is having us actually exceed the amount of meals that we're going to provide as I wrote in the grant. I said in the grant that we're going to provide more than 12,000 meals. This year, myself and my staff are committed to exceeding that and providing 13,000 meals to people within our service area. So when we talk about our strategy that's going to be supporting this rapid growth and fixing all of our issues, one thing is our communication strategy. We were already very visible in print and on the radio. Our social media presence continues to grow each day through multiple channels. The fireside chats have been successful, and they continue to grow in popularity. We're also increasing the distribution of our newsletter. As far as operations, where we're wanting to get to before the end of our third quarter is to be at about 400 members. We're at 324 now. I feel that we're more on track to do that. So we're also going to maintain class overlap in our weekly schedule to increase our utilization. We have had a lot of new members, but we also have a lot more people that are wanting to actually use the senior center. So in the past, we've had people that sign up to be members, but they don't show up. Our members are now showing up, and they're showing up in much larger numbers. They're bringing friends, they're bringing relatives to see exactly what we have going on, and they're signing up as members on those same days. So we're also looking at implementing a much broader strategic planning that will be able to allow us to have visibility of what we're going to do in 2024 while we're still operating in 2023. Again, our financial strategy, we're going to be pursuing a municipal park and recreation authority that was replaced by the interlocal agreement that we'll be discussing later. We're doing private capital raising, pursuing federal and state appropriations, and we're developing multiple lines of revenue. Our Meals on Wheels strategy, we want to increase participation by 30 to 35%. that is going to allow us to get up to that over 13,000 meals that we're able to provide. We also want to develop awareness and increase participation through digital and print marketing. If you open up your Sun-Times this week, you're actually going to see the postcard inviting you to attend our senior cafe, and also if you know anybody that would qualify for the Meals on Wheels program, to please sign them up with us. At this time, I'll answer any questions.
Sure.
A lot of stuff.
Wow. What?
So you were talking much bigger dollars than the Chelsea Senior Center, $40,000 from Webster and tens of thousands of dollars. And so can you talk a little bit about why the need is more in Dexter Township, and in particular because our residents are participating at a much lower, we have many fewer residents participating in Dexter Senior Center than Chelsea, so.
Oh, absolutely, Karen. That was such a wonderful question, and thank you for it. The reason why is because for many years, our program was not operating at the capacity that it is today. So when Chelsea, Brighton, Hamburg, Saline all made their big transitions from about the 2013 to 2015 time frame, the Dexter Senior Center was really left behind in that. We're one of the few senior centers that doesn't have a millage or municipal support for it. So all of our operations are being provided for literally by donations and the grants that we write, which before we started growing was able to sustain us because we were a very small program doing very small things. And now, with our rapid increase of operations, we're going to continue to get more members from Dexter Township, just because we're going to be able to provide more comprehensive services that are similar to Chelsea. We're also a shorter drive than Chelsea. And so what I'm asking for, I'm not asking Dexter Township for $20,000, $30,000, or $40,000, but don't let me stop you. What I am asking for is for many years, we didn't ask the right question about what we would do with the money if we received more from the municipalities. And so what we're looking at is if the municipalities invest with us, we're going to be able to continue to grow and provide more services for your constituents. And so when we do that, we're going to be able to provide like I said, a much more comprehensive set of programs. We're already looking at more recreation-based programs. We're looking at expanding our demographic down to 55 to 70. We're not in a position like Chelsea to remove the age limit just because our core focus is seniors and we have such a small operating space.
So I'm looking for a pretty simple message here, and I think I heard you say that Chelsea has a millage, and Chelsea Senior Center enjoys a millage, and Dexter.
So traditionally, most senior centers either have a millage that they're supported by, or they're in partnership with either a township or a school. So like the Chelsea Senior Center is housed in the Chelsea High School, so they don't have the same operational challenges that we do.
I see.
So we also don't have as large of a corporate presence in Dexter Township and the greater Dexter area that would be similar to Chelsea. They would be able to have contributions from companies such as Jiffy, which would be a rather nice partner to have, and we don't have big community partners like that. So we really are relying on smaller donations from private citizens. And so as we're going forward, we need that additional support, so this way we can maintain our current momentum and continue to provide a sustainable future for our program.
Just to clarify, I believe Saline does get village dollars, but Chelsea does not.
So would this be a larger donation? Would this be repeated? Are you looking for a repeated yearly?
Right now, I'm going to say yearly, Laura, but I do want to speak to you all about a different opportunity that is going to be of a greater benefit for your constituents in the long term, and it's going to benefit everybody rather than just the seniors of your community. And so, as I said, because of the sensitive nature of it, I'd like to have a conversation with y'all in a private session.
How many seniors do we have in our community? Do you know, or do you know, David, from the master plan?
Master plan for the whole, since I can look at the age demographic.
Yeah, I believe it's right around 1,100.
Okay.
But I can get you that number here shortly.
This is a question I probably should have asked of Chelsea, because I heard you say the numbers, but now that my brain, what is the total number of membership at the Chelsea Senior Center, and how many of those are Dexter Township residents?
1,116 total members, and 112 are Dexter Township residents.
Okay, thank you.
So if we had more to offer here, we'd have more membership. But we're not going to have more membership unless we have the resources and the means to provide better services for them, right?
Absolutely. And a senior center is just is one of those essential components of a community. It's just like a library. Not everybody goes to the library, but it benefits everybody.
Yeah.
And a senior center does the same thing. So yes, we're taking care of a smaller segment of the population, but it's the population that gave us the life that we get to enjoy today. How old is this building? How old is that road? You know, were we the ones that built it, or did somebody come before us and build it? So we were arguing, I was hearing the discussion earlier about the power lines. Who put up those poles so many years ago? So when we look at senior centers, yes, they are an essential component of our communities because they help to care for the people that give us the opportunities that we have today.
And so a partnership with the school or with the wellness center or the library wasn't for space, especially because space is your big challenge, but that wasn't available to you. Have you explored partnerships with those existing organizations and found it a dead end?
Yes, so we have, I have been able to glean from the experience of Paul McCann at the Dexter Library, and he's given me a great idea of something I'm going to be pursuing later. We are speaking with the schools. I have spoken with the folks at Five Healthy Towns about if there would be an opportunity for us at the Wellness Center. But again, we'll be discussing our new strategic partnerships and our opportunities in a private session.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And is there a number, I know we talked, but is there a number of amount that you're asking for us to approve?
Yes, I would like to boldly ask for $9,000.
Okay. Thank you.
But if we did 11, that'd be really Let's go.
Any other questions? So we could, thank you, Gordon. That was
Thanks,
wonderful.
Gordon.
Thank you. Okay. The next item is from David Rohr, an update on, for our Director of Planning and Zoning, update on single hauler. Almost there for the fire department. Sorry, Doug.
A lot of activity.
All right.
I'll be brief, won't take much of your time. So the master plan update, the master plan went out to the Planning Commission yesterday. We will be having our regular scheduled meeting next Tuesday to develop a work plan.
Is it this page?
Pardon?
Is it this page that we're looking at?
No. That's the single hauler update, So the master plan will be to the Planning Commission next Tuesday. We'll establish a work session for the next 2 months, so May and June, at which point it will go to the public comment period that will last over the summer. So I'll keep you updated as to what we get back from the Planning Commission. I did include in your packet a single hauler update. That's part of an email from Theo Eggermont at the county. That's actually the RFQ that went out 2 weeks ago. If you notice the timeline, they are in the process of hiring a consultant this month. Once that is done, there will be a meeting between the county, the consultant, some of the project leaders, I'm sure myself, and potentially a trustee as well. They are laying out a basically 9-month timeline to establish a working, essentially toolkit that the county will use and be able to provide to various townships. So as I find out who the consultant is and when the meeting is, I'll keep the board updated, but it seems to be moving forward at this point. I also gave the local roads committee an update last Tuesday, and they have this document as well, so.
Thank you, David. Thank you. Any questions? Okay. I know we're the Dexter Senior Authority. We had currently had approval for $4,000 in our budget, and Gordon's asking for an additional $5,000, so this would be a budget amendment. But I'm kind of feeling a little bit like Chief Armstrong has been here for a while, since he brought the UTV into the parking lot. So if we could exchange the talking about the additional funds for the senior center after we talk about appropriating ARPA funds for the UTV that we see in the parking, that we saw in the parking lot on our way in, the trailer, the detoxifying sauna. Is that okay with everybody to switch those around? Thank you. And Doug, if you want to come a little further up, and yeah, and so I'm recommending that we have about $269,000 that we had originally appropriated from the ARPA money for broadband, and now that's coming back to be reappropriated because broadband has been taken over by Washtenaw County. So there is a definite need in the fire department to have this UTV to provide excellent service on the trails and around, the lakes, and for rescue services and fire services, and also the information in the packet about the value of a detoxifying sauna or infrared sauna as a thing to do after the firefighters are exposed to chemicals in the air, and how that will can help prevent cancer and encourage a more healthy lifestyle. So, Karen?
Can I just ask one quick question? When you said there's $269,000 to broadband, I thought it was only $78,000.
No, we kept the $78,000, but there's $269,000 that's unaccounted
Oh,
for.
okay.
Yeah, so
Okay,
this will be about $61,000. And Chief, would you like to have a few things to say? And thank you for coming and bringing that beautiful UTV to the parking lot.
Thanks for having me. It's great to see you. Just to give you back up just a few steps and just tell you about some of the exciting developments and goals we have within the fire department that we're working towards here in the near future. And the first one is to get more firefighters on duty. You guys had a lot of forethought in planning and funding of building a fire station out here, and we only have one firefighter that works out of that station. And it's really difficult to respond to truck and drive down the road and talk on the radio and look at the map and keep track of where you're going and get the equipment out and really be effective with one person on the truck. So we are planning by the end of the year to hire some additional firefighters and get 2 firefighters stationed out at that station, so that the trucks will be responding with 2 from each of our 3 stations. That's a huge service improvement. We also have a couple fire trucks that are aging. Our 20-year-old tanker had a little wiring meltdown on a fire here on North Territorial last Wednesday, and it is sitting out at Station 2 waiting to get towed in to really diagnose even what the issue is and whether it's fixable or not. So we do have some big expenses that we have planned for and are working towards. So wanted to let you know that your investment in the infrastructure and equipment for the fire department would certainly just enhance those plans that are already underway. And we have seen an increase in calls this year. We're up about 33% from March 31 compared to March 31 last year. Now, we heard from our RTE representatives. what part of those calls were in response to, which was a lot of down wires, a lot of down tree limbs and entire trees, both in the ice storm in the end of February and the snowstorm in the beginning of March. So clearly that did bump up some of those run numbers. So hopefully that'll smooth out and we won't maintain quite that elevated pace going forward. Getting back to Diane's summary of some of the information I presented here, firefighters are dying younger and at higher rates than the general population. And there are a couple reasons for that. And it was historically, way back, it was fire related. Equipment has gotten much better. Training has gotten much better. We've gotten much better at assessing where and when to enter a fire and try to keep our people safe. So fortunately, those deaths are going down. They're still happening because it's unpredictable. What is not going down is cardiovascular death rates, suicide death rates. I've recently started to get involved in the Yellow Rose campaign, which is started by firefighters and really designed to provide support and mental health support for firefighters and for all first responders. The stress of the job really takes a toll, and the suicide rates have just gone through the roof with first responders. Cancer rates are really high in first responders, and we've done a number of things to help prevent and reduce cancer rates with our firefighters. The new station has been designed to sort of keep the dirty stuff in one area and the clean stuff in the other area, and not to have them mixing very often. That's important. It has an exhaust removal system, so when the truck backs in, we quickly hook up a hose to the exhaust on the truck. Of course, that's much easier when you have two people, because then you can hook it up before the truck gets to the station, where one person has to pack it in, turn it off, and then run around and hook up the exhaust, so you do end up putting a little more in the air. We also, in the last two fire trucks we ordered what's called Clean Cab, which provides extra storage space on the outside of the truck, outside of the cab of the truck, to store our gear, because the gear absorbs contaminants from the fire. And historically, you came back from a fire, you just threw the gear in the cab, you hopped in the cab, and you drove home with it, and you were breathing everything that was on the surface of the gear. So we keep that separate. So sort of the next step in preventing cancer is access to a sauna. And my wife, if she was here, would tell you that after I'm in a fire, in a smoky environment, even with our full protective gear on, the smoke gets through that gear. It gets into our pores because we're working hard, so we're hot, we're sweating. It gets into our pores, then our pores close up, and it stays in there. And 2 days later, after I take a shower and leave the bathroom, the whole bathroom smells like smoke. And she walks in and goes, it smells like a bonfire in here. And that's just not healthy to keep those contaminants and the products of combustion inside. And again, 50 years ago, when most of what was burning was cotton, wool, wood, all natural products, it's still soot, but it's not nearly as bad as when we burn this vinyl and these pressed boards and polyester carpets and curtains and all of the other things that houses are made of today. And all of those chemicals are what goes in the air and what gets in and on the skin. And so while some people can see sauna and go, geez, we're getting the firefighters next, an ice cream machine or fancy coffee maker, but it really is a health. And I don't know, Laura, if you've, I was surprised when I found that story that just a single extended session in sauna led to sort of long-term mood elevation in depressed individuals. And so it just gave me another reason to really think that this is an important tool for us to have. And then following the Dexter tornado, another reference to that earlier tonight. We received some donations, and we went out and purchased a John Deere Gator that the department has had now for the last 10 years. And unfortunately, we probably didn't quite, we bought what we could afford, but it really wasn't the right vehicle. So that vehicle has a carbureted gas engine. It's really designed to run full out for hours at a time. It's not really how we use it. We tend to creep along trails and pathways, and when we do start it up and test it, just to make sure it's running, it doesn't always get run full out for a long period of time, and so it frequently doesn't start and runs horribly when we need it, and the plugs are fouled, and we go in and we get it tuned up, and it runs great for a week, and then we're back to square one the next time we use it. It also was not heavy duty enough to put in what you saw in the vehicle that you walked by on the way in, which was a skid unit that has a water tank with about 70 gallons of water, a fire hose, and a patient stretcher. And so a vehicle can really go anywhere and can do a number of things. It can help remove a patient. It can help extinguish brush, vegetation fires. And we had some pickups that do that, but in this soft, muddy ground, they get 20 feet off the road, and then we're winching them out or towing them out. These vehicles do so much better with regards to that. And the one that you saw is actually Northfield Townships, so just down the road. And Ann Arbor Township has one, Superior Township has one, Pittsfield Township has one, Salem Township just ordered one, all really almost identical units. This is coming from a Polaris dealer that is really specialized in outfitting and equipping them for fire departments. Over the last 10 years, they've sold about 20 of them. They've all done extremely well. So it's a tool that will be important for us in our toolbox. We do get a fair number of calls on the trail behind the fire station that comes right up to the Metro Park. We get calls out to the Potawatomi Trail and into those areas, and we certainly respond to field fires, brush fires, grass fires, and things. So this will be a vehicle that will serve us so much better than the Gator that we currently are housing. And in the event it's a bigger fire, we have our neighbors, and we can call 2 or 3 more of them that would eventually come and help support, because often you need to come at it from a couple different directions at the same time. So I have talked a lot and given you a lot of information, but I am certainly willing and able to answer any questions you may have.
I guess my first question is on the sauna, that's going in the firehouse out here, I'm
It is, yes.
assuming? There's room for it, do we need to remodel, is there additional costs?
There is room up in the mezzanine, plenty of room, and, we've included in here is the only real change needs to be made is bringing electrical up from the room down below, where we have the washer is already hooked up to the 220 power that's needed, and that'll just get pulled up there. And then we're also going to pull that power all the way over to the other side of the bay and down on the west wall, and then we're going to move our air compressor and fill station out to Station 2, because that really, it has the hose washer, it has the spare hose, we just don't have space down at the main station. So after a fire, we end up coming back to Station 2, out at the territory, your station, and cleaning the hose, then having to take the air bottles all the way downtown to fill, and it just doesn't work out. So we want to move all of that to one place, and then that will be, after a fire, we will go out there, we'll clean all of our equipment, we'll clean ourselves, and use the sauna, and do it all in one place.
And would the UTV be stored out there also, or is
It's
there room?
it's likely to probably be down at the main station, because we can hop right on the trail, and we can come all the way up to Hudson Mills without even trailering it or getting it on the road. But I don't know if you paid attention to the trailer that was out there. That's a little different one than I expected. I really like that one that tilts. because one person can actually drive it right up, and, it's a single lever to connect it, so getting it on and off the trailer, one person can do themselves, but two can do very quickly and easily, and we do have a pickup at each station capable of towing that trailer, as well as...
So is that trailer that you want more than the $6,800?
I don't think so. I think it'll be pretty comparable.
So Diane, let me know, I asked Diane before the meeting whether the other partners in the fire district are, so is this our portion of the cost of this equipment? And I'll just ask that question to you. Is this our portion, or is this the full cost of this equipment?
This is the full cost.
Yeah. And so will we own it, or or is this just something that we're buying on behalf of all the jurisdictions that participate in the fire district?
I think that's how this is presented, that we're buying it for the Dexter Area Fire Department. And I saw it as a move towards, taking this money that we have, we received and supporting the work that they do. And hopefully the other municipalities that we work with will, see it as a gesture and decide to make.
I have certainly shared with the other municipalities that you are, I would be here tonight and you would be considering this. And they were like, really? So I'm hoping it does open some opportunities to have some additional conversations with them.
I want to say I want to do this. I would support both these purchases, and I think they're valuable, and I think we should facilitate them happening. I just wonder if we should offer half and challenge the other districts to come forward with the other half from both of them, which we would still be a larger contributor. That might be, I don't know, raising the level of all boats, and then that money would still be available for other items. So instead of just hoping that it'll trigger them, could we actually kind of put it on the table? And then if they say no, you could come back and say, well, they said no, and you could ask us again or something, like a challenge grant almost.
I kind of see this like what we did with the sewer system, with ARPA. The multi-legs, put together their wish list, and it went out to all the municipalities that are functioning within multi-legs, and quite frankly, Dexter Township was the one that stepped up and carried our percentage of their overall ask.
Carried our percentage of their...
Yeah, we carried a percentage of their overall ask.
But in this case, we're paying 100%.
We're paying 100%. So I totally get where you're coming from. Are the others going to pony up? I don't know. Is it going to delay it 30 days, 60 days probably?
Probably.
By the time they go to their board meetings and come back. I get it.
I completely understand the concern. We also have a time limit on which we have to spend the ARPA funds, right?
Yeah, 26.
Yeah, but I wouldn't let that cause us to deploy it unnecessarily, because we can always use it for other things and then backfill with our general fund later. So I wouldn't let that.
I just think these are, to me, it's a tough thing because I see these as sort of necessities, and I don't necessarily want to rely on the other communities to provide them, just given the need, and certainly our residents would benefit from them. So I totally understand the argument that we shouldn't be footing the whole bill, but another part of me thinks it's a worthy thing to foot the bill for. So that's what the internal struggle in my mind is those two things.
Would someone like to make a motion? Since we've had some discussion.
I'll move to approve the allocation of $60,903 from ARPA funds to the Dexter Area Fire Department for purchase of a UTV trailer and detoxifying sauna at Station 2.
Second. Oh, sorry. I'm happy to second.
Give it to Michelle.
Thanks.
Is there
Is there any other discussion?
Do we have a maintenance figure that we're going to have to budget for?
No, it's got I think it's a 10-year warranty for like a home install, consumer install, and it's a 5-year pretty much complete warranty for what they consider commercial, and that would be a commercial. But
Can we come and initiate the sauna?
I was thinking after elections, the election workers might also really enjoy the sauna. They're a long day.
Okay. Sounds like we're ready for a vote.
saying election workers stink?
No, not at all. I'm just saying I know that you work a long day.
So since this involves money, we'll take a individual vote. Michelle? Yes. Laura?
Yes.
Maris?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Karen Nolte?
Yes.
Karen Sekanga? Yes. And myself, yes. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here and bringing the UTV too. That was a lot of fun.
Thank you very much, and I look very forward to bringing ours back for you to see soon.
All right.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Armstrong. Have a good night. All right. So now we can go back to the discussion. When I did talk to Bill O'Reilly from the Chelsea Senior Center, he had asked me he said he was not going to ask for additional funds, but I think it's a good topic to put in alongside of Gordon's request for additional funds. So I think we should, let's just have a discussion and then we'll figure out what we want to do. So let's talk about who wants to say something?
Do you want a motion to approve an additional
Sure, yeah,
$5,000? So I'll make a motion to approve an additional $5,000 contribution to Dexter Senior Authority and amend the FY '23-24 budget accordingly.
Oh, wait, should we do them separately? Should we do Chelsea Senior Center?
Well, Chelsea's already at $4,000 in this year's budget, so
Oh.
he asked for an increase, but he had already gotten it.
But he
Yeah,
already gotten this.
Oh, okay.
That's true, we did raise that.
Sorry.
So I don't think we need to take any action on
Yeah,
Chelsea.
and we have to make sure
I'll
those checks
second
go.
the motion.
All right, it's discussion.
I will just say, I certainly found the discussion today and the explanation better than the conversation we had before. It seemed much more thought out, thorough, with better numbers. I quickly did the math. I asked the question about how many total members and then how many Dexter Township residents. And Dexter Township seems to make up about 15% of the membership of the Dexter Senior Center and about 10% of the Chelsea Senior Center overall.
Did you calculate what percent of their budget our $9,000 would be?
It is, if we were at 15% of the budget, we would be at a $30,000 contribution. So the 9,000 is much less. That's what I was trying to figure out. After the gentleman from Chelsea had mentioned that we were kind of low on the per resident cost, I was trying to figure it out that way. And so yeah, 15% of their budget would be about 30,000. The only thing that I am a little, so this document that we have here says that it's a pending $82,000 ask to Webster Township.
I think Webster Township offered, when we were talking about the, having the Dexter Senior Authority in the interlocal, that Webster said they did not want to do that, but at that point, John Kingsley had offered to propose an $82,000 one-time contribution. And so that kind of in lieu of being in the authority. So that's why I think it's still up for, discussion with Webster Township.
I guess I just bring that up as a concern that the numbers seem like very, very large increases from some of the other municipalities as well. And, I'm fine doing ours, but it kind of comes to the same question we just asked about what if they don't? Then we've given our extra, but the rest doesn't come to fruition anyways, and then they have a budget hole. So I know that's not our complete concern, but that's the only thing I didn't feel like we got real clearer is like how likely are these other municipalities to really up their pieces.
Maybe we could do it on a one-time basis from ARPA, the $5,000 from ARPA, and then it won't roll forward automatically quite as easily, because he did say that he thinks something will be different next year. So then we won't be codifying a $9,000 annual contribution in the general fund.
I like that idea.
And I think he did say that City of Dexter almost doubled. He said it was going to go from 16.5 to over a little, what he said was a little over 30, but what it says here is to $30,000. And Scioto Township, who has not contributed since 2017, I think he said, has this year, these are just annual contributions at $22,000. And Webster, they're still awaiting, well, they've done their budget, but I don't think they have a final number. Again, I think that's because they're still trying to decide if there's going to be interlocal or not.
I just think all of those answers, like, they all sounded like they were still conversations to me, and that was the only, I picked up on that the mayor of Dexter, they were still discussing, he said, and there was lots of conversation that made me think that maybe these numbers weren't solidified yet, which is fine. Someone has to start that trend and solidify their numbers. It might as well. Dexter Township seems to be leading the way on a lot of these conversations, but that's my only concern. But I like Karen's suggestion of moving it forward through ARPA so that it's not necessarily expected, and then we can reevaluate next year if that number needs to be more during the budget process, once others are committed.
Okay.
I like it too, because ARPA is pandemic relief, and it seems like an appropriate use of pandemic relief.
For sure.
Okay.
Diane, is there going to be an amendment to that motion that Karen Sekinga made, that the 5,000 will come from ARPA funds?
Yes.
Should I amend my motion?
You can.
So I'll amend my motion to specify that the source of funds for the $5,000 appropriation will be ARPA funds.
So just to be clear, I'm sorry.
Okay.
The 4,000 is coming
From the general
from our
fund,
normal
which
budget.
is already approved.
Right, okay.
And so this will be an additional, a budget
5,000.
amendment to ARPA funds, which is what, Fund 285?
For a total of a $9,000
For a total of
contribution.
$5,000 from ARPA. So there'll be a $5,000 Dexter Senior Center line item in ARPA, Fund 285, and the $4,000 general fund line will remain untouched.
Okay, yep.
Okay.
So should I restate that motion? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, but you didn't mention the 4,000 from the general fund, but that's not what's in question. It's the
Right, it's the
5,000.
5,000.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
she's
the
got
4,000's already approved from the
5,000
budget.
and the amendment specifying where that 5,000 is coming from.
Yes.
We need Laura to second the amendment.
Second, the amendment to that motion.
Okay. And we'll take a voice vote. Bonnie?
Yes.
Karen Sekinga?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Michelle? Yes. Karen Nolte?
Yes.
Maris?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Thank you. Okay. And then the next item is just the approval of the Washtenaw County Road Commission proposal for $643,688 and giving the supervisor the permission to sign that proposal. So, someone want to make that motion to approve the Washtenaw County agreement for $643,688 to repair and improve roads, and to approve Supervisor Ratkovich to sign the 2023 Dexter Township agreement.
So moved.
Any discussion?
Second.
Yes, I put
Karen,
on
yeah.
everybody's desk just an email from Adam Lape that gave a little bit more detail about the 20,000 in forestry funds. If you remember from our budget discussions, it was $623,000 for the road repair and $20,000 for forestry work, and the forestry work is a maximum, unlike the rest of the lines in the agreement, the $623,000 will support the repair to those specific roads. The $40,000 in forestry funds is a not to exceed for forestry work. So it doesn't give them just an open season to do all the forestry work they want in Dexter Township. It's a not to exceed, unlike the rest of the contract.
Clear. Ready to vote? Meredith?
Yep. Yes.
Lonnie?
Yes.
Michelle? Yes. Karen Sekenka?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Karen Nolte?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Thank you. Okay, the next one is an update on
Oh, I think that's
proposal
me.
on cash flow analysis and investment plan by Meredith.
This is yours.
Treasurer.
Can you make a motion, or should I talk
Oh,
about
why
it
don't you
first,
introduce
or-
it and then we'll.
Oh, okay. So before you guys tonight is a contract. I reached back out to Woodhill Group. I know that last year, it was last year, I did a cash flow analysis with the Woodhill Group. Specifically, Matt Horning is basically a contractor through the Woodhill Group, so we're not working with the Woodhill Group again. It's just Matt Horning. I worked with him. He's very fast, efficient, very smart. He's got 30 years of experience in municipal government and investments. He's an incredible guy. And so basically I work with him remotely to take a look at our funds again. And I think this is important again because we did have a stall. We were able to move the money to Michigan Class, but now I'm looking for our longer term investments. And last year, we were all kind of figuring out what our capital expenditures were going to be for our capital improvements. Now that we kind of have a better idea of where that money is going, I would like to take a look with Matt again. I'm not as experienced as he is. I'm learning. Actually, I'm starting to figure out how to do a cash flow analysis in the general ledger. I'm not there completely yet. I don't feel 100% confident to do this on my own. I think that I could, but I would really like to start investing with multi-banks. And we had that representative come in last year also speak with us. This is going to be more for our longer-term investments, not just our liquid funds that we have in Michigan Class, which you guys know already has made a significant amount of money. This is just to kind of reevaluate our funds again and look at our budget and see where we're going and what we can invest for longer term.
Now, would someone like to make a motion to approve the hiring of Matt Horning with the Woodhill Group for cash flow analysis for fiscal year 2022-23 and investment plan for fiscal year 2023-24 with the cost of no more than $5,000?
So moved.
I'll second. Sanders.
Any
And
questions?
just for discussion's sake too, they kind of reworked this. Before it was based on hourly rates, and now they just did it based on a $5,000 flat rate. So it will not exceed that. And also we don't have as many general ledger line items, so that's why we get a more discounted price for something to do an analysis.
And we expect that this analysis helps us actually raise more money is not the correct term, bring in additional revenue? Greater. Yeah, how do there we go.
Right, and actually, I do want to share this also. I've been in contact with Catherine Tormina. She is my representative for multi-banks. And for a while there, I was kind of sweating it because I'm like, oh my gosh, we really got to get these longer term investments in. And as luck would have it, right now is like the hot time. If we would have invested our longer term then, the rates wouldn't have been as good. So we are actually in a really good position right now to do our long-term investments because it's on the horizon that it's going to turn quickly. So I'd like to get this done as soon as possible. That's another reason why I would like Matt to assist me with this so we can do it as quickly as possible.
Do you need if you want to move quickly, do you need permission to reinvest the funds, or did the investment policy we already
No.
approved allow
Yeah.
you to reinvest without coming back to the board?
Yeah,
So-
and I would discuss it with
Yeah.
the executives, prior to doing any of these investments, because I think that we also put that in place as well. Anytime that I would be making a bigger investment, I would be, coming to Diane and Michelle, we would have a discussion about it, I'd get their approval.
And then you can go forward, and you don't have to wait for a board meeting.
Yep, because basically what it is, because we have that laddered portfolio that you guys see in the new investment policy that I created with Matt. And so basically there's percentages, and I have to work within those. I'm working that's my document, our investment policy, so, yep.
Any other discussion? I think we have to amend and just add after that motion to allow supervisor to sign the contract.
We do need to add that, sorry about that.
That's okay.
I mean, just, do you want to make that subject to attorney review and approval of the contract as well? I mean, you don't necessarily
Oh,
need to sign
yeah.
as well, but just in case you guys want.
That would be a great idea.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
That's a great idea, attorney.
Well, it's creating more work for the attorneys, but, so I'm not trying to do that.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Okay, so.
Should we do that with the road commission contract?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Those come up every year, and you guys can kind of pick and choose from those.
Okay.
But I don't really think those are negotiable either.
Alex, you want a copy?
Yeah, or I'll talk to Diane about review after.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thanks.
So motion to approve hiring of Matt Horning with the Woodhill Group for cash flow analysis for fiscal, do I have to withdraw the first one, or I'm just amending this one, right?
You're amending.
Okay, so I'm amending. So motion to approve hiring of Matt Horning with the Woodhill Group for cash flow analysis for fiscal year 2022, 2023, and investment plan for fiscal year 2023, 2024, with a cost of no more than $5,000, and have attorney approval, a contract before allowing supervisor to sign the contract.
Perfect.
Okay. Ready to vote? Michelle? Yes. Karen Sekanga?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Maris?
Yes.
Karen Nolte?
Yes.
Lonnie?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Okay. So the next item is to open the discussion to rescind and set new policy for BOT vacancy.
Diane? Oh, never mind, sorry. I thought we were talking, never mind.
Okay.
I thought we were doing the MERS thing right after the.
No, that's
the
10D.
investment policy.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay.
So we have to make a motion, correct, first, before we can discuss, right? So I would like to make a motion to rescind the last policy that we created according to how we proceed with vacancies for Dexter Township. Yes, I would like to make a motion to rescind that policy.
I'll second.
Stan Mullally. Okay, open the discussion.
So I guess I would just like to say maybe just a few reasons of why I feel that we should rescind the policy. I felt like, for one, which is most important, is we kind of made this policy on the fly. There wasn't really a whole lot of thought, and I feel like maybe all of us were a little bit confused. I had something in my mind coming into it that we would create some sort of policy around a vacancy position, but the way that it went wasn't exactly what I envisioned. I did vote yes to that, regrettably, and so I'm asking if the board can reconsider. We have put some thought into a different policy. I mean, at this point, I would either like to see no policy at all, or a policy that states that this vacancy will be open to everybody. So the board members and the community, I feel like at this point that would give the board members a choice and also the community an opportunity. I have heard from all of the board members about continuity and how that was important to them. And I totally understand that, and I think continuity is very important for a board. However, I do also think that continuity is just as important as change sometimes. We changed our whole board, we flipped, and it was important for Dexter Township, and we've done some really great things with that change, I think. And I know you guys all think that too. But yeah, so I mean, continuity, yes, and change are kind of equal to me. So that in and of itself is why I would like to see a different policy. I want to give the opportunity for the whole community, give the board a choice, and we would go then maybe hopefully through an interviewing process like we did for our trustee vacancy, where we found Jeff McDowell, and go from there.
I just want to say that I also, at the last meeting, I was the one who made the motion.
Before there's discussion, it was a motion, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Trustee Scott, we've got a motion on the table, so we should probably second it.
Oh,
Yeah, Michelle seconded it. Sorry. That I also, so I intended, and in the minutes we sort of reflected this, I intended to offer an amendment because I didn't feel like the motion was very clear, the originally stated motion, so I asked for a break to write a motion because I don't feel like the board should be voting on things that are not immediately clear what we're voting on. I too, after reflection, the reason I offered that as amendment, I fully intended to vote yes on the amendment so we knew we were voting on, and vote no on the actual policy, because as I had stated in the discussion, I also felt like we should have some sort of public process, although mine was a little different than other board members by saying that I do believe that stated policy also includes, or that our intention is, that a current board member is preferred. And I know that there was discussion about whether that was appropriate as well. So I also, I think I'm coming at it from a different place than Maris, but also, don't think that the process that we had then was super clear, and so I'm definitely open to the discussion of changing it if we have a clearer, more defined option.
I regret that we didn't do this at the time, because Supervisor Radkovich, although we haven't accepted her resignation yet, but presumably she's going to be gone as of May 12th, and that overlap time with Supervisor Radkovich, it could be very valuable. And by introducing a competitive, if we had made this decision before, and I too would have been open to, I didn't feel strongly one way or the other, I guess, and would have been, if a different motion had been on the table, might have voted differently. But now more time has gone by, and that time is really precious. So that's something to think about.
True. Well, we have 45 days from the effective date of her resignation, so that
No, I'm talking about
her absence.
I'm talking about training time with her in the job, picking the person that's replacing her, so she can train that person and help them with the transition, which is something we did not benefit from really in the last election. And I think often supervisors do spend time training their replacements.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have something. Laura. My sense is to stick with what we agreed upon. And the reason is that, first of all, for, like you said, Maris, continuity, but also we were all elected officials. And I feel like having somebody step into that position from our board ensures that people who were elected are the first and most important consideration. I like the idea of opening up the trustee positions, but I really think that on the executive teams, somebody from our board who should step into that because of all of the history, right? And the fact that we were elected by this, you know, not as a group necessarily, but we're a team.
Can I just add to that? I'm sorry, Michelle, do you want to go first, or can I?
I just wanted to piggyback off that, and I do agree, we were all voted into our positions, and we are serving in the positions that we were voted into. So everyone knows, as of last meeting, how I felt about the policy that was crafted, and I just still feel that it's absolutely appropriate to, and along with transparency, to have a public search and allow the community, as well as if there is an individual that would like to serve in that position, to have the opportunity. But I think it's valuing our community, reaching out to our community, and giving them an opportunity to apply for the appointed position as well.
Well, and I just want to add too, I mean, at the end of the day, and this is what we have to keep in mind too, Laura, is that this board is going to vote on the candidate, no matter what. So just by opening it up to the community, it doesn't automatically say that one of these people are not going to be selected, but they go through a fair process and they give the board an opportunity. You know what I mean? So it's not like we're excluding the board. They're just going to, we're just opening it up for more options. Hopefully, maybe not, and we might not get any interest, or we may get a lot of interest. I was very pleasantly surprised at the trustee candidates that had popped up when we had a vacancy. I thought that was a wonderful process that we went through, and it made me feel comfortable knowing that, you know, there was, how many people did we have? 8 in front of us, and they all were spectacular human beings, you know. I liked that process, and that's kind of the process that I want to see happen. But I know that everybody on the board has their own opinions, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But that's just how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can understand it. I you know.
Karen?
I can understand it. I don't agree with it per se, because I happen to take Laura's approach of we're elected officials, and I feel like we should step up and be the executive team. And in the time crunch that is happening right now to get the next supervisor some hands-on training, I would have, if we were going to talk about rescinding this, I think there should have been a full attachment with a full written resolution, and that we should not come to kill resolutions or write instant resolutions on the fly. We've learned our lesson. It was not done properly. There's open holes in it. And if we want to revise it in the future months, let's go for it. But I do not believe that we're going to go in and we're going to pass something and then we're going to go, oh no, let's rescind it. I mean, we do have a couple holes in the policy, which I agree with, and they should have time considerations to rewrite. I think we are on a time crunch now to effectively lead the township, and I do think we should continue with what we had set at the last meeting.
Do you have a written, did you write a policy, Maris?
The second part of this does have the vacancy
Which I would be
motion
happy
for
to read after discussion.
You guys don't have this?
No. No.
Do you want to?
I know what that would be a motion, Diane.
Yeah, so first we need to.
Can I say another thing? I think too, I mean, I'm concerned about the time lapse too. It feels like we're going to be flapping around now for a few months if we do this. It really feels like you know, some things that we have rolling would really have to, everything's going to be put on hold. And that feels to get somebody in, to go through a process, to get somebody in, to get them up to speed, to help them understand what's going on, just feels like, I feel we need to move toward containment, not chaos. And that's what that feels like to me. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Diane did send us her letter of resignation around mid-March, and it's already mid-April, and she'll be gone a month from now. So it's taken us a full month to do what we already did. So just to keep that in mind, and then in the absence of the supervisor, there isn't going to be a person designated to coordinate a competitive search. So just something to keep in mind.
I have documentation, not everybody has this motion to rescind the.
I don't have it.
Motion for new BOT vacancy policy.
I have it on my, I had it on my desk.
I don't have it in my packet.
It's not in my packet.
Yeah.
My issue with that is, again, we're working on the fly. And I think we need to stop working on the fly. Had that been in consideration for the last 5 days where we could review it and we could come and we could talk about the yes and no, you're now asking 4 people on this board to work on the fly because it was not in our board package. And I am concerned about the time, you know, and I am in full agreement that if you want to look at revising this policy in the upcoming months,
Okay.
no problem.
I
But
just-
I don't think we should be working on the fly tonight, and I don't think we should stall where we're going.
But how do you envision this stalling the process, though, I guess?
Because if we don't do something tonight, then we have to go into, first we have to approve a resolution.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm just opposed to seeing this and in 10 minutes taking a vote on it, because that's how we got here last month. Like, there shouldn't be these
Can we just- okay.
5-minute things. So what we're going to do is we're going to kill the policy, we're going to kill the process of naming the next
How about
supervisor. We're going to then have to put out public notice to everybody. We're going to have to go through an interviewing process. We have a 1-month process at least to do that.
What if we don't even have a new policy? What if we just rescind this policy and go back to the way that it was?
Why not keep it in place until we want to fully rescind it and work
Well,
out all the kinks?
I think-
That's what
I
I
think-
mean. Let's just rescind it, get rid of it, and then we move forward with a normal process like we've been doing, and then we can build a policy around it later on, if
What's
we
the normal
choose.
process? What do you mean by a normal process?
The same process that we had when we hired Jeff McDowell.
That's going public. That's what I just laid out to you, is probably a 1-month process to put it out
It
there.
doesn't necessarily need to be a 1-month process. We could literally open it up to the public tomorrow when we make this decision. We open it up for 15 days. If we get applicants, we call a special meeting. Then we all can interview, you know, they can interview before the board like we did. And then if there aren't any candidates that we decide on, then we go to our next scheduled board meeting and we make our appointment.
I absolutely agree.
I don't
So-
really see an issue, but
So we have a motion, we've had a second, we've had discussion. I think we should take a vote and see if a motion to rescind the BOT vacancy policy created last month at the BOT meeting. Does anyone have anything else before we go to the vote?
Yeah, I guess I have questions about the policy we passed and the timing that I think it makes my decision on whether or not to rescind it harder. The policy at the last meeting was when a vacancy occurs, at any time an executive office is vacated. One of the holes in that policy to me is the office isn't technically vacated until the resignation is effective on May 12th. Is that when our 5-day policy kicks in for the board? I believe our intent was that policy started when we accept the resignation.
Well, but even at the meeting, at the last meeting, we said there was an assumption, if not fulfilled by the next BOT meeting, then we go to a public search. So that was the discussion.
That's confusing all in and of itself, because technically, I mean, we never approved Diane's resignation. We still haven't, to right now, approved Diane's resignation, and her effective date is not even until the middle of May.
Well, that's my question, because that's what
So-
makes this, because I too share the concerns about timing. I believe, and Diane is here so she can tell us that, I believe Diane's intent in informing us and setting a future date was that she would provide leadership and guidance to the new person coming in. And so I agree, the timing is a big issue to me. But, again, I'm not sure that what we enacted at the last meeting fixes that timing issue either. And that's the question, I guess it's the big hole, right?
Right.
Because if our question is whether or not we rescind it and go to something different is because of the timing issue.
Alex, do you have,
Well, there's
does Alex have any guidance on this from other situations that have happened?
Well, you're guided under Michigan law on your appointment and when you can accept a resignation. And so, at this point, from what I understand from the fact, it wasn't at the last meeting, but you haven't accepted Diane's resignation. So you can't technically appoint a new successor yet, so we have to first do that. But you can appoint a successor within 30 days of the effective date of her when she wants her last day to be. So assuming that you accept her resignation tonight, and her last day would be effective May 12th, from what I understand, 30 days before then. So you can appoint a new successor as of 6 days ago. So you could appoint somebody tonight if you wanted to replace Diane as her successor. Now, as of May 12th, so the last day, under state law, you have 45 days to appoint somebody, otherwise the decision is taken away from you.
Okay.
And it goes to the county at that point for an election. So somebody else will step in and appoint a successor.
So do other townships have policies about how they are going to replace a trustee at either level?
I'm trying to think of the two that
I
I'm
mean-
most familiar with. I don't think they have a policy specifically.
Okay.
But I don't think it's a bad idea. And you guys, ultimately, though, under state law, you guys aren't holding open interviews. The township board will appoint. That is your job. It's not like you're going through a public process, but if you want your policy to be that you interview, you can do that. You can pick from the board, your supervisor, or you can, appoint somebody else.
Okay, when we did that for Jeff, that wasn't under a policy, that was just a board's decision, that we decided that would be the best route then.
For a trustee.
Maris, do you see a difference between a trustee and an executive role in terms of the value of continuity? I mean, does that resonate for you at all, or do you?
Yeah. But no, yes and no. I mean, because if it's a trustee coming into an executive position, they're going to have to learn just as much as anybody else would in the community. Because, if one of us stepped into the supervisor role, then yes, I would see that would be continuity, because we've worked in this office and we've
worked
been
together.
in the software, we work together, we, have an idea of the financials. So, yeah, for one of us, yes, I see the continuity there. If I or Michelle were to step up in the supervisor position, then yeah, I could see that continuity. But for a trustee, everybody has, experience on the board, obviously, but we have more policy experience, not really the office experience for continuity, and that's how I see it. So yes, I do understand it.
Well, it seems like since we did write the last policy on the fly, and it does have holes in it, it's going to be hard to enforce. So right now, we're just talking about the motion to rescind a policy that's flawed. And that's kind of my feeling about it. And then decide, after accepting my resignation, how you're going to work on how you're going to do it. Doesn't have to be a policy.
Do you see, Maris, do you see value in getting somebody appointed before Diane leaves for transition purposes? Do you see value in that, in continuity of using Diane as a helper train before the May 12th issue?
Sure. I mean, Diane, are you open to training somebody?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah,
I just think
but
if
like
you
I
have a
said, I
church,
still don't see how we don't have time to get all of that done, though, Karen. If we open it up to the public for 15 days, we say, if that's what we decide to go with, I still don't see the issue of opening that up to the public. If there's somebody on this board that's interested right now, they may very well have all the qualifications for it, and that's great. And the board literally still has to appoint that person and vote on it. The entire board, we have to have a majority vote for that person to go through. Having other people
What
up
we could
against.
do, so we have had somebody from the board express interest. If we go 15 days to the public, then we go through the interviewing.
Right.
And then we make our decision, we are into May. 15 days from now, we're moving into May. So you're going to give a 1-week transition.
Well, there goes the argument about continuity then. I mean, if that person.
If you're bringing somebody in from the outside. But as we sit here today on our timeline, and we have a policy.
But there's nothing, I understand your value in it, but there is nothing, it's not set in stone that you're going to get somebody to train you. I didn't get training.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just.
I completely agree with
You
with
don't
the
get
treasurer.
training.
I'm not saying that. And I'm not
Sometimes.
saying the existing policy is a great policy. I just think we ought to operate under the policy, and then 3-4 months from now, let's look at, after we get a new trustee in, after we finish the whole thing, a supervisor, whatever we do, we go public, then we rewrite the policy. I am just against writing policies on the fly. And I'm against
All I'm saying
canceling
is
policies
get
on
rid
the
of it.
fly.
That's all I'm saying for right now is just get rid of it, to
Yeah, I
rescind
just
it.
disagree.
Well, that's okay.
I mean, I think that the executive team needs to function as a team. And if the two executive board members are not comfortable with the policy that we set of selecting first from trustee candidates and then going to the public, then we should defer to them. Because it's that's what I think.
I don't disagree. I just am also concerned about the timeline. And I don't know if maybe we shorten this, can we shorten this to a period of 10 days? And then, you know what I mean? Like, are we open to at least trying to give a week or two for that transition?
Or even to 5 days.
Or even to 5, which is what the policy was.
I just want an opportunity.
I personally am going to be, I thought we had set a policy. I thought we had set a policy, right? And I'm not going to be around. I'm going to be gone from the 23rd to the 5th of May. So I won't be here during this selection process, as you've laid it out.
Which well, then that's good change to discussion too, because I think you have to, like, I think given that, I think you have to be. I don't think we can, I mean, I also thought we were selecting or doing business this evening and changed a flight to I was supposed to be in California today. And changed so that I could be here too, because I think it's.
You did that.
No, but I get it, and I think it's important that we all are present. So if that's the case, then I do think if we're changing anything, we have to take that into account.
And I appreciate you sticking around too, but I just have to say, when we did a search with our trustees, I mean, I don't remember anyone stating this is just for a trustee, that we're going to do a competitive search. And in a year and a half, we may have yet another new supervisor. There may be a new clerk. Will I stick around and train? Absolutely. I know what I went through. Will the supervisor that steps into Supervisor Rakovich's shoes, will that individual stick around? Maybe not. Treasurer Metz was put in a position where she just dove right into a winter tax roll. So I can't get behind, we can't have a competitive search because there's not enough time. And on a positive note, I mean, the budget has been done. So, I mean, now it's reviewing, it's learning. We have a fantastic staff. Our executive administrator, she is wonderful, that can assist. Myself and Maris can assist, and we work together, us three. So I can't get behind, we can't have a competitive search. And I do appreciate that there is currently a member on the Board of Trustees that wants to fill that position. But I also wholeheartedly agree, as I stated last meeting, that we need to extend the same courtesy to our community. And there may be no applicants.
Right.
And for instance, I had several people come in.
I hear all this about transparency, and I think we're being very transparent on what we're doing. I think transparency does not mean everything goes to the community, every decision.
I didn't say anything about transparency.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, that is being the little undertone that we're not doing it. And I think having a policy is, we have a policy. We made a policy because it was done on the fly and a couple people aren't happy with it. Do we rescind it tonight and stall our forward movement? I just can't support that. I can
I don't think
support
this has
rewriting
anything to
it,
do with
but I can't.
transparency. It has to do with equity.
I think if we do a competitive search out to the community, I would ask that we do reference checks. One big difference, I think, there's two big differences, I think, between applicants from the community and applicants from the board. One is we know each other and we understand each other's follow-through, and we know each other now, and a member of the public is, we didn't do reference checks for the trustee role, and I think this is a little bit different than that because it's actually fulfilling an administrative position in an office, and people can interview very well and have a very nice resume, and in fact be different in reality than they are on paper or in an interview. The other thing I feel is that I do feel that, I mean, for me, it matters that we were elected by the electorate. That means 5,000 people came to the polls and said yes or no to everybody here, and that will not be the case. So to have us led by a non-elected official, by an appointed official, does to me feel less inclusive, I guess, of the community as a whole. I know that in public administration, elected officials often struggle with wanting to make decisions based on who comes to a meeting and speaks. And there's an issue with that because people who come to the meeting and speak aren't necessarily representative of the population as a whole. Mm-hmm. That is also true of elections. Elections also are, not everyone votes, and more empowered people and more engaged people do tend to vote more than people who are less empowered and less engaged. So we have a very high voter rate, as Michelle has told us. So that is the most inclusive thing that we can possibly do in this community is run an election. So if we really want to be inclusive, we can run this as a special election, which is what the state will step in and do. But to me, somebody submitting a resume and the voters didn't vote on that person, that makes me a little bit uncomfortable.
I still will keep circling back to this because this is like the theme for me, is that just by opening it up to the public for 5 days doesn't change anything. The board still has to appoint this person. They still have to vote. The board has to vote, or not unanimously, but majority, to have this new person. So, and like I said, I'm not saying that I would not vote for any one of you on this board, but do I want to know that 100%? If somebody else is interested, if they wouldn't be a better fit? Because we cannot sit here and say that somebody else is just not a better fit. I can't get behind that, and I want to know.
Okay, so we have a motion to rescind the policies that was created last month. I think we've had a lot of discussion. There's different opinions. I think we're ready to take a vote. Anyone? Okay.
It's a tough one.
It's going to be a tough one. It's even tough to figure out the way to go. Michelle? Do you want the motions to rescind?
Yes.
The policy? Maris?
Yes.
Lonnie?
Yes.
Karen?
No.
Laura?
No.
Karen?
Yes.
And myself? No. Wait. Yes, sorry. I would like to rescind the policy. So where does that leave us?
5-2.
Okay, so the policy is rescinded. So we can open up the discussion, and it doesn't have to be a policy of what do we want to do to replace?
So I agree with you, Maris and Karen. I do not want to vote in a new policy right now.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have this in advance. I see lots of flaws with it. With it as written, things that I would have liked to be able to think about. And I suggest that we don't approve a formal policy, but make a decision to create a policy in the future.
I, though, would like to make a motion to set a special meeting, though.
Okay.
No, but we do need to have,
Well, do we want to make a plan tonight for how we're going to proceed to fill my
there does need
position?
to be some kind of structure,
Yeah.
especially if we're under this time crunch, then we probably need to think about a special meeting to do an interview process.
And we're going to need 15 days. I mean, we need to be able to notice to the paper. We need to be able to, I can't get anything in the paper until a week from
That is.
tomorrow.
Yes, but that's setting a new policy.
Okay.
Well, it's setting a process.
It's setting a process
now
that we
it's-
haven't discussed.
Yeah.
Like,
I know
So
everyone was
then-
throwing around the 7 days, 5 days. That's impossible.
So how did we do it with Jeff when we did that? How did we do that then? Because we had the same amount of time.
We stayed
Well,
vacant.
it was not as critical a role, Maris, so we took time and we served with 6 members. You know, we had meetings where we had only 6 members.
How long was that? I don't even
I
remember
don't
now.
think
It's
2 months.
true. Was it
It was
2
a couple
months?
months.
Yeah, it's a couple
Yeah,
months.
it is true.
Is it
We
true? Okay.
did have meetings with at least one meeting with only 6 members.
Okay, yeah, because I don't recall it being that long.
Well, Jim left.
Do we want to appoint an interim? I mean,
Appoint an interim supervisor? We could do that. I mean, Diane's last day is what, the 12th of May?
can I ask for a 5-minute recess just to use the restroom, breathe, have a second to think? Because I feel like these are all very big decisions that I don't think many of us, I didn't have full time to consider. And just,
Okay.
is that okay?
Yeah, let's have a break. It is now
Is there any food
8:35,
anywhere?
and
There's a candy drawer.
I've been looking for
we'll be back at 8:40.
Drawer. Do you know where the candy
No,
drawer
where is,
is?
I'll show you where the candy drawer is.
I definitely don't need candy.
Yeah, you're 250. Jeez. He's ready to go over.
You need a rest.
Can you show me the candy drawer?
Yeah.
Right this way.
Are these off?
No.
No.
Oh, I was just wondering.
Just push the little button.
Mine doesn't work. It's okay. Do you like this on the wrong side?
So the effective resignation day would not be today, it would be May 12th. So that's the day the clock starts running. And then if you agree to stay on additional, just informally help train the new person after that. Then I think that helps them out of this. Because right now, the numbers, it's a mess.
Yeah.
Trying to work it out.
Yeah, more than 2 weeks to advertise.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a mess, you know, and it won't help with training because you'll be gone at that point, but, you know, if you agree to come back and help out a little bit like Harley did, then I think
Yeah.
that could potentially make a quarter there. But just something, I mean,
Yeah,
just
I'll
pitch it
think
out
of
there, I mean, you know,
Okay.
I didn't read it, so.
Thank you for reading the minutes.
Okay.
All right, where are we at?
So are we just talking about a process now to
I don't know.
fill the supervisor's position, not a policy?
Lonnie, do you have thoughts?
My thoughts are that whatever we do, we need to accept the supervisor's resignation tonight and start the clock,
Yeah.
regardless of where we end up. And I think that was, just to be clear, one of the reasons that I voted to rescind the policy is because that was, to me, one of the gaping holes, is when that started. So I think that's an important piece for me, is that the clock starts
Tonight.
as opposed to, and that was a question that we had, as opposed to the 12th or whenever the effective date is.
Well, I'll make a motion to accept the supervisor's resignation
Effective as of.
effective as of May 12th, 2020.
Second, Metz.
Okay. Should this be a individual vote or just a voice vote? Voice vote. Okay. All in favor of accepting my resignation for May 12th, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So do we want to talk about a process now for,
If you look at the dates, we might as well
I mean, I think,
start the process and address it at the next BOT. That's where it almost comes out.
Yeah.
I can't hear what did you say,
I'd
Karen?
say, well, if you're looking at the calendar, if we go 15 days from today, you're out at May 3rd. Karen's gone first, I'm gone the 8th through the 12th. I have a vacation planned, which puts the next BOT meeting at the 16th. Flap.
Karen, what were your dates again? That you said you were back?
May 5th. She's back the 5th.
I'll check statutorily, but 45 days from May 12th puts you at about June 26th. Just before it goes to the county.
Can I ask if anyone, and I don't know, I guess no one has to answer, has anyone heard from community members that are interested or were interested in applying?
I have talked to a couple of people that I think are qualified who say no.
I mean, just noting that this process has been going on for at least 2 weeks. Has anyone?
Well, it has been going on for a few weeks, but there's been a lot of back and forth, and also, we were unsure of what was actually happening for quite some time now. So there's that too. That's a different component. So.
so what if you gave it a week?
And also, why didn't we accept the supervisor's resignation
When she
a
read it.
while ago?
Because why wasn't it on the special meeting agenda? And plus, we would need to be within so many dates, I thought. We would be within 30 days of the
30
effective.
days of her effect.
So it was too early to accept at the last meeting. We couldn't do it legally.
No, you could accept whenever. You could have accepted.
Oh, I didn't think we could accept.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I thought we could
It wasn't
accept.
put on the agenda.
Yeah, it wasn't on the agenda.
So if you had 7 days from today, or it would be April 26th, that any applications would come in.
By the 26th?
Yeah, if
of
you had a
April?
week, yeah, and a week, so, we
And
could
then
put it
we
on
could
our
have-
website.
And then we could call a special meeting after that?
Except either way, we'll be missing folks, right? It sounds like by that time,
There's no overlap, there's no time on.
Well, if somebody's appointed by, or if there's somebody that's decided on and appointed at a special meeting, what do you,
make a suggestion? Is it possible to take Karen's suggestion, appoint an interim, and then schedule to get this in the paper?
Yeah.
Schedule an interview date and do an approval at our June meeting, and we're not rushing anything. Dates are set. Our problem now is what we thought we were doing tonight. Everybody made plans to be here and set other things in motion. But if we do an interim right now, we make a commitment, we'll go public, we'll accept it, we'll accept applications, we'll review the applications, we can do an in-person interview process either at the May BOT, before the May BOT, or at the June, and then announce at the June BOT and have the full process done on a full calendar.
If we appoint an interim from the board, is there anything we need to know about that?
I don't know. It's just very strange to me that you would, just because you have to appoint a new one. The interim wouldn't be anything other than a name, I think. I don't know. I have to look.
Wouldn't the interim take some of the training, so when the supervisor is gone, can help the transition? That's what I'm coming at.
Probably, my thinking is, but you're the attorney, you tell me, but my thinking is that if we appoint someone now, we're appointing a supervisor, and then that person would have to resign. Right.
Yeah,
So that person would have to agree that they're going to resign on that date because they would be appointed to the role.
It does seem strange to me. There's not really guidance in the law about appointing at this temporary term, because a supervisor is a supervisor. You would appoint them, and then they take an oath of office. So you'd just be kind of like informally appointing somebody that's training with Diane, but didn't take an oath of office and really isn't going to serve in any capacity.
Yeah.
We could potentially, if it was someone from the board, name that person as a deputy supervisor, correct?
There's no, a deputy, a supervisor can have a deputy, but she would have appointed a deputy already. I think it's also like you're blurring. It sounds like you're just trying to have an informal like ombudsman with Diane, and it's not. I don't know if we should call it appointing anything.
Sure.
I don't know if that's permitted.
So from the 8th of May to the 12th, there are going to be people out of town?
I'm going. Where are you going? She comes back the 5th.
I'm gone from Saturday to the 5th. So then this, 6th or 7th, I guess, which is Saturday and Sunday.
So the weekend, people are available? I mean, to do this appropriately, I mean.
I have a training, May 7th.
I mean, we may not get any applicants.
That is true.
Are we talking about for a special meeting, Michelle?
Correct.
Like when can we have a
To
special meeting?
consider these
Correct.
putative resumes that we hope we're going to get.
So Diane can't participate in the vote, but she can be in the discussion, of course. So yeah, we need really all 6 of you. Right, to get 4.
I mean, I can probably do a special meeting in the evening. Of a Saturday or Sunday.
The problem is that not all of us here.
Just a suggestion, because of the timing of Diane's last day is the 12th, your May meeting would be the 16th. So with the clock starting on the 12th, you could open it up to the public and board members at that point and still have your regular scheduled meeting and then schedule potentially a special meeting after that.
Why don't we do a special meeting before that? Do a 5 o'clock special meeting where we interview candidates, we appoint.
On the day of the actual
At the
regularly
day
scheduled
of the
meeting.
May 16th, we do the interviews prior to the BOT. We can take a half hour.
I can't do it until 6
Oh, because of
because of my
work.
job.
Or we could make the special meeting at 6 and then.
Yeah, and just push the BOT back.
Yeah. Just a suggestion, it seems to keep with everyone's schedule and opens it up and nobody has to cancel their vacation.
That works for me, or if the 6th or 7th special meeting, that would probably be nicer if people wanted to have an opportunity to speak. I mean, I thought it was really nice that we had, I thought there were 5 or 6 candidates for trustee, and they all definitely took their time speaking. And I think that's just as important, and it should be just as important to this board versus just coming in with a resume, but listening to someone.
Maybe we do that on the 16th and do the BOT on another night.
Or make the BOT.
Yeah, make it
Make that the
BOT.
whole-
Move the agenda things other than the financials. Move the agendas until June.
Diane, did you say that this is your last meeting, that you will be?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, for our next meeting,
Michelle would be.
Michelle, you're going to be doing that, right?
Facilitate it.
Okay.
But no, I mean, that would be fine too, because this could be a lengthy meeting, and if we have it saturated with a whole bunch of other agenda items.
Well, maybe we should think about that, looking at the agenda and planning accordingly.
Okay, let's make a motion to open this up to the public to advertise for a supervisor position, and we will hold interviews on May 16th at the Board of Trustee meeting, 6 o'clock. Huh? We will hope to.
Support.
Okay. Any more discussion on that? That sounds great.
Yeah, I just still really don't like the timeline.
I don't like it either.
I know we've talked about it, we've all been sitting here, it seems like a really long time. And we end up without I know that it's only a few days, but we end up without a supervisor. That's my only concern.
You want to open it to the public? That was candy.
Oh, just still thinking, that's all that I have.
So I guess
Lonnie, do you want it open to public hearing instead?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that was directed to me. I said at the last meeting, I think having it open to the public is fine. And would have preferred that, but I feel like that was a last month's decision. We set a process in motion. We have someone who has expressed interest. I worry a little bit, and we talked about this before, and I think it would have been different. My original point was you can have a preference for someone on this board stepping into that position and still open it up to the public, but that's not what we decided to do. I think pushing this out an entire month when we know that we have someone from the board that's interested, that's the only thing that I'm grappling with now, is are we just wasting time? If we get no applicants, if we get some applicants that aren't qualified, whatever it may be, have we just done this board a disservice by pushing it out and not having a supervisor for several days? Maybe the answer is no. I don't know. Frankly, it's what I'm grappling with as we make this decision.
That's kind of what I meant by chaos. I feel like we just invited chaos by rescinding but, I accept that.
I'll be glad to rescind
People
the
voted.
motion.
I mean, by
I don't even
rescinding
like
our
it.
policy.
Yeah.
I will say, though, I do agree. So the reason that I voted yes, one of the reasons why I voted yes to rescind is because I think Karen made a good point that whoever the new person is has to be a team with the rest of the executive group. And so that's also where I'm struggling, is if Maris and Michelle want an open process, then I support that, because I want to make sure that the executive functions well together. So I think there's just a lot of those things to consider, but I do hate the timeline. I mean, I feel like it's been 2 weeks. If we haven't heard from folks, there's a reason. But also, I'm just eager to get back to the township residents' business and not our personal business anymore. I'm just ready to move forward.
And I just also have to say that we already made the decision, so it feels, I have feeling, so we're changing, we already made the decision, and and Lonnie changed his flight, and so we're wrapping our heads around.
Yeah.
What decision did we already make?
The decision
To rescind.
the decision to choose from the trustees first, and we had a good.
Oh, right.
It's a reasonable policy, it's a policy that is repeated, that I would say probably the majority of townships use. It was published in the paper, and now we're replacing it with another policy that is also acceptable and reasonable. But the policy we already, and I'm not talking about the gaps
The
in
thing is that we're
policy.
making policies on the fly, and we need to be thinking about policies that will have longevity, not just for the moment and for what circumstances and everybody's vacations.
And I'm fine with the rescission of the policy, but we made a decision to choose from among the trustees first. And now
We made a decision to choose from the trustees. It was published in the paper. There hasn't been any blowback to our decision that I know of, if anybody else does. And now, it's not that we can't rescind the policy, but I think we better take time to rewrite it in the future. And is that 1 month, 2 months, 3 months? It needs to be thought out. We can't do this stuff on the fly.
Right.
So now, we're rescinding a policy, plus we're rescinding the decision that we made.
But now, I think because we rescinded the policy, you just have to figure out what you're going to do to replace.
Right.
So that's what we just need to decide tonight.
Right.
Yeah.
And that could be any of the above, so.
And if I may, in terms of staff input, I mean, the timing is difficult, but Diane being here till the 12th of May would essentially leave the township without a supervisor for 2 working days. So I don't envision much chaos. The staff is pretty high functioning. We will keep the lights on and everything running. If you stick to Karen's amendment or motion, you would be doing this on the 16th. So there would be a minimal gap between the current supervisor and the new supervisor.
There's a gap, but there's also a sharing of information gap that is probably more important
Well, and
than
I
a
think
4-day gap.
Agreed, but I think
It'll be more than that because we'll be interviewing them that night, but we will, and I will go back to, I hope we will check references because I think it would be a big mistake not to. So are we going to check references in advance for every applicant? That's not a typical professional process, So we'll interview them and then we'll decide who we want to check references for, and then will we have a special meeting after?
There's another decision on the fly. If we interview, we can't decide that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's
We won't decide.
That's another immediate decision that it doesn't take us, it doesn't serve us well to do that kind of stuff. And some of these last minute, we're seeing the fallback of these actions of ours. And
We
I
absolutely
think we
are,
should
and
stay-
everybody needs to take responsibility for that. That's sitting on this table right now and not
Agreed.
making it sound like it's just because one person feels differently or the other person. We all need to take responsibility that this feels not right to anybody right now, and everybody feels differently about the situation. We're all doing things on the fly at this point.
Can I make a suggestion? Just given that, that one of the trustees has indicated their interest, I'm wondering if we don't schedule the interviews or the public portion still earlier and then schedule a special meeting for the vote, but schedule the interview portion or public when we're not all here.
That's the problem, is we're not all here in that time frame to do those interviews.
But everyone is
But-
here, right, at the 6th or the 7th, and Laura did state that
Oh, I
she would
thought
come
you
in the
could.
evening and have an
I
evening
said I could,
meeting.
I can.
And we
In the
could,
evening. I have things going on those days.
then we can have a proper due process, meet them, greet them, and at our regularly scheduled board meeting on the 16th, we could go ahead and appoint, if there is anyone to appoint,
See, I
other
was
than,
trying to shift us even faster.
You're thinking next week?
Yeah, I'm thinking that we open it up for a week and do interviews next week.
That's what I was thinking.
Knowing that someone on the board is not going to be here, schedule the special meeting for that Saturday and make the appointment that day.
It doesn't have to be posted if you're doing a search?
Yeah, you guys are doing your own policy, you know,
Oh.
it's how you want to do this.
So we don't,
The only
The
thing
special
law
meeting
requires
does.
is you appoint somebody.
Yeah. Which we would have ample,
Sorry.
but I would think we would have ample time to post both. If we're giving a week
Put
for,
it out there for a few days and see if anybody comes forward and says they're interested.
that's what I'm saying we set it as a timeline for that, like they're due by next week, by a week from today. We post it, we see if there are public folks, and then we schedule the special meeting to do those interviews for anyone who may be interested. I mean, even this policy was 15 days, but if we're shortening the time frame.
And, I mean, I understand where you're going. Unfortunately, the Sun-Times publishes only on Wednesdays, and you need to have it in the Friday before. So what comes out tomorrow in the Sun-Times, nothing else new will come out in the Sun-Times until a week from tomorrow.
The 26th.
Yep, so if you post it open for a week, you essentially have no print advertising at all. You have it up on their website, you have it on our website, but I run into that constantly with the ZBA and the PC because of their publishing schedule.
Yeah.
We're really
so.
doing interviews the first week of May.
I don't know that the jobs are posted in the Sun. I don't know if they're classified as for job openings in the Sun Times anyway.
This is different.
It's a
than
public
job.
note, it'd be a public notice,
It's for this meeting.
yeah.
Oh, for the meeting.
Do you need to have a public notice for a meeting?
For a special meeting, you would need to have a
Oh,
public notice.
but I think I'm talking about the meeting being later.
Well, no, I mean, but even the publication for if you're opening this up to the public, the soonest you can have it in the print newspaper is a week from tomorrow. So that's as soon as it will hit newsprint. So I believe that's why that it's written in here 15 days, because of our we're not the Ann Arbor News, we don't publish every day, once a week.
and then when it goes online, it has to be posted for 24 hours.
The vacancy doesn't have to be posted at all.
Just for a special meeting.
The
It's
special
for a
meeting.
special meeting.
No, I'm just saying, there's two different things that we're talking about. The special meeting has a notice policy that has to be followed. The vacancy, we're figuring it out right here.
Right.
There is nothing that says that it has to be posted in the Sun-Times by
Right.
for a certain amount of
Right.
time. That's what we're talking
So we
about.
could have the meeting a week from tomorrow, because, I mean, I won't be here, but it could be, the special meeting could be in the paper, and,
It won't be in the paper.
Well,
It won't be in the paper till the 26th.
No, it could be, well, it won't be in the papers on the 26th. What I'm saying is, even for applicants, if you wanted to reach residents of the township, you can't have it in print until next Wednesday. So if you potentially close the window to applicants next Wednesday,
we'll make it
That's
a
it.
week from Monday, then, you know. Maybe we could make it-
Or Friday. So then there's 2 days post the paper, right? I mean.
I mean, honestly, never mind at this point.
It
I mean,
serves no
seriously,
purpose.
honestly.
We'll
I'm-
still support that we go with our decision from last month. Rescind the policy, fine, but stick with our decision that we made, and then let's write a new policy in the next quarter to reach out for the future and handle all the.
I guess what I'm struggling with is, what is the difference in 10 days and 15? I asked before we voted to rescind if you all were open to 10 days instead of 15 in this policy,
Well,
and people said
because
yes.
People are not going to be here.
But
So that's,
but they would. they would be here for a meeting. Friday, if we opened up applications to next Friday from the public, and then scheduled a special meeting for the 6th, or whatever the date in May is, that gives us time to review any applicants, then hold a special meeting, right? What am I missing?
Are you talking about Friday, the 28th, that we open it up for, from now to Friday, the 28th?
Yes.
For public?
Yes.
And that's for public applicants?
And then we could schedule
And how do we
interviews.
advertise that?
Exactly. It's imperative that we get this out to our community. I mean, that's my whole point, is
You're going to give the community 2 days to react.
we're going to give them 2 days.
2 days and 3 weeks from it being in the in the paper last time. I mean, I don't know. I guess.
This is what I meant by chaos.
Well,
This is what it feels like to me. It feels like chaos.
so if we follow
That's
just
how I felt last
just for the
last month when I was
purposes
voting.
for the purposes of discussion. So if we followed this brand new policy as of today, 15 days is when.
That was going to be on the 3rd, I believe.
May 3rd.
Okay, so we're really talking about a difference of 5 days.
Of like letting family members talk about it with their others over the weekend, let's say.
So
If it's a
we
commitment that
assume
they
that the
wanna-
only way we're getting applicants is from the Sun-Times?
No.
No,
It's just the way you go public around here.
Okay.
It's our paper of, what is it called?
I mean, it'll be fun.
Paper
If
of
they
record.
come on May 3rd, we can interview them on May 6th or May 7th, and then check their references, and then provide the references and make a decision on the 16th.
But then we're still back to not really having a decision until after Diane is gone. Okay.
If I could make one more suggestion as well, I'm sorry, not trying to intrude into the meeting. I know we're running late, but, I mean, has anyone here on the board, though, asked Diane if she would be willing to stay on informally and help train? I mean, if continuity and training is a concern, I mean, if Diane is willing to come back and assist the new supervisor, I mean, that would also be a benefit that not everybody enjoyed the first time around.
I would come back and do some work with the new supervisor. Why don't we take a breath on this and go through the other things that we have to do, and then we'll come back to the process. There are just a few cleaning up items on the WWRA debt fee. When the motion was made, it wasn't read completely, so the resolution number wasn't in there. So if someone would read this motion, or I'll read it, and then somebody could just, I would like to make a motion to accept resolution number 23661 for the WWRA debt fee retroactive to March 21st.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? For the General Appropriations Act, I would like to make a motion to accept resolution number 23662 for the General Appropriations Act retroactive to March 21st, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The clerk salary, I would like to make a motion to accept resolution number 23664 for the clerk's salary retroactive to March 21st, 2023.
So moved.
662, right?
664?
664?
It says 664 on the thing.
B was the 662.
Yeah, 664.
664.
Okay.
So moved.
Second? Somebody want to second that? Second. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Laura Sanders.
Okay. Now we're at payment authorization. Maris?
Budget amendment.
Yeah, we
Oh,
had to
sorry,
do D.
D.
And then
Yes.
another budget amendment question too, for the same question.
What did-
Well, didn't we receive the American Rescue Plan funds last year? Yes. So we already received the American, we
Yeah.
received the ARPA funds, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't be budgeting for ARPA funds. We're not going to get revenue from ARPA this year, right?
Correct.
So our ARPA budget, so we should amend the budget to zero out the 683, 288 for ARPA funds, because we're not going to have revenue on that line, right?
Did we go back? What are we talking about now? I thought we were.
I thought we were talking about the budget amendment for MERS. That's what we're doing.
For MERS.
That's the retirement program. And that doesn't have anything to do with ARPA.
Oh, I just thought we were doing budget amendments.
No, well, right now, we're doing the budget amendment.
Budget
for
amendment
MERS.
for MERS.
And what page?
Do we have a paper on that?
Yeah, what page is
No,
that?
this is, so Michelle's going to make the motion.
That's the question that you asked,
Right.
remember in the beginning?
You're gonna make
Michelle
that
said it was in the packet, and she highlighted it.
Yes.
It's in
A
the
motion
revenue.
to
You'll see it in
amend
the revenue and expenditure
Yeah.
report.
And I just didn't know how much you were.
The revenue and expenditure report.
The total is never going to move from the 19.
Right here.
$1,901.
Oh, okay.
So it's.
We'll
it's
say
gone down
2,000.
easily
Okay.
by $500.
No, I'm back to the
And that's-
front,
It's
so
going to stay
That's
that
from-
figure
right.
from
So
us.
this is like paying the old administration or
And you
MERS or
I
whatever.
believe
It's 3 of 9.
Budgeted by 20.
Thank you, Maris.
Yeah.
Too many
Okay.
pieces of paper.
So we're going to amend budget line 101, 294, 725, 002, the retirement plan from 0 to,
What page are we on?
3 of 9. Highlighted.
To 1901, Diane. Right?
but it's to $24,000
Where are
for
you
the
seeing?
year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
$1,900 out to $24,000 annually.
So you're going to continue to see it?
Someone like to move?
I thought we did.
Oh.
We didn't?
No, I just read it.
So moved.
Second? Maris.
Diane stated the motion, but I moved and somebody just seconded. Okay.
Karen's kinda. Okay. I think we should take a voice vote. Karen Elte?
Sure.
Lonnie?
Yes.
Maris?
Yes.
Karen Sekenga? Laura?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
And myself? Yes.
They didn't put any number in.
Okay.
We put the number 24,000.
We didn't do that for our budgeting process, I guess.
Thank you, Michelle.
Do we have,
Thank you.
are we taking a question on the
Because that
budget
money needs
issue?
to go to
On the ARPA
retirement
for the
for the
sewer?
over.
That's incorrect.
Yeah.
On page 9 of 9 on the 430 report.
I think there might just be, can I suggest that we discussing budget amendments? Because I have no other applicants for budget amendments. I don't think they're critical about them.
No.
I'm losing my voice.
Yeah, good idea. Okay, treasurer report, thank you.
Oh, authorization payments, okay.
Authorization of payments, sorry.
I'd like to make a motion for the approval of the bills in the following amounts. The general fund, $27,669.50. The fire fund, $98,059.91. The police fund, $44,344.43. The Open Space and Land Preservation Fund, $2,440.48. The General Agency Fund, $100. And payroll, $40,375.31 for a total, including payroll, it's $212,989.63.
Can I ask one question?
Was that a motion that Mary's just made?
Oh, yeah, it needs a second.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll second it. Then can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So on the manor, the accounting fee, so did we negotiate out from the 16,000 down to the 13,800? Is that where it ended up?
Yes, and they're going to
so now
finish
it's-
converting our chart of accounts.
We also need to, I didn't even, okay, I didn't look at the check run yet, but we have, did we put a bill, did we cut a check for them for this bill run? Okay, cool, all right.
Yes, we did negotiate down, and that'll be.
So that's it?
That's
Yep.
it. They'll do they're going to finish with the chart of accounts in the next week or two, send everything to BSNA, give us the directions to, what we have to finalize with them, and then we'll be done. Everything's in order. Oh my God, it's so late. Okay, any other questions? Okay, take a voice vote. Laura? Oh, do we have a second? We had a second, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Laura?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Karen Sekenga?
Yes.
Karen Nolte?
Yes.
Lonnie?
Yes.
Maris?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Okay. Next call for public comment? Last call for public comment? Marty? Identify yourself.
Marty Stroud, 13131 Island Lake Road, down that way. I just wanted to say thank you to Diane. I've appreciated your leadership, appreciated the efforts that you put in. I've really enjoyed working with you, and while I wish you the best, I hope we're able to keep in touch.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you. Okay. All right. Other issues, comments, and concerns of the board members and staff? Can we
We
just,
haven't resolved.
I know we haven't resolved
Okay,
this
so are we ending the
situation.
meeting?
I don't know if we can do this tonight.
We cannot end the meeting without this resolved, I don't think. That's what I meant by chaos, you guys. So if we rescinded the policy, then let's get a plan. And the people who introduced the rescinding of the policy, I think, should propose a plan. And
Well,
we
I
need
did
to-
have a plan, but the problem is that people are going on vacations, and that's an issue. So that plan doesn't work.
I know, so we have, well.
So I don't know what
let's
to
keep
do with it at
revising
this
it.
point. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not
I
trying to
did
be
have,
personal.
and
Yeah.
I didn't come here tonight without a plan. I did have
Yeah,
a plan. The
I'm
problem is I
not
didn't know
suggesting
everybody
that.
else's personal plans in their life. You know
Yeah,
what I
I'm
mean?
not
I don't
suggesting
know.
that, Maris, I'm just saying that we can't leave it
No, I get what you mean. I know.
undone, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't have a plan at this point, so I apologize for that.
So should we go back to our original plan? Or what do you want to do, guys? Because it's really the executive team. You guys need to, you guys are the ones that need to be comfortable with this decision. And we're kind of trying to defer to you guys, but we're going to do the plan as proposed.
I guess we really don't have a choice at this point.
I appreciate that this much discussion was put into this.
Yeah.
I was not comfortable with the last policy on the fly, I'll be totally honest with you. And I strongly believe that there should be a process, so I would like to recommend putting a notice in the paper, giving it at least, I would say at least a week to where on the 6th or the 7th, having an opportunity for any applicants that were seeking interest to come in. Everyone, I believe, would be present. Then we could have the next 2 weeks to, or the next week at least, to look into these applicants, if there are any additional applicants, and make a decision on the 16th.
And I do not think that will be chaos, as David pointed out. That's 2 days
No,
with them
yeah,
as
I'm not,
supervisor.
that's not what I meant by chaos.
And then I
2
will be
days.
happy to come back and walk people through some, what I do, and I would be absolutely thrilled.
I'll say one thing I have to say. I can go along with this. I'm not happy about it by any means, but I think with setting the precedent of rescinding a policy that the next month is a poor precedent to set for this board.
Are we making a policy?
No, we're not making a
We're not
policy.
making-
We're not making a
You're setting
policy.
precedent. You're setting precedent that you passed the policy last month, and now you're rescinding it totally this month, because a couple people of the 7 are not happy. I think it's a poor precedent to set for the board, that's all I'm saying. I can go along with it, but I think it's a poor precedent to set. It does send us into chaos.
Well,
It does
see,
not make us feel, we've had newspaper articles published on what we're doing, and now we're shifting direction. I think that's
Yep.
worrisome.
Well, I think that's our prerogative, and I don't think it's, it's not ideal, but it
It's no
also
stranger.
is opening up to,
The board has done this before, which has really disappointed me, too. So the board has done this
I think that
before
was for a
and
different
posted.
reason. If we want to go there, I would
What?
not suggest going there.
Let's just stop right now. I want
Let's not do
to,
that.
okay, we
Okay.
got 5 more minutes and this meeting will be over, so.
I would like to make a motion to support what Michelle asked for, which is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Michelle, that we put a notice in the paper immediately, as soon as possible, that notice then, how long is that then? And that we get it advertised.
Okay, tomorrow we
And
can-
on our website, et cetera, and then that we have a special meeting that we call for either the evening of May 6th or May 7th.
Pick a date right now.
Yep.
May 6th doesn't work for me, so.
So May 7th.
Okay, May,
I have a commitment on May 6th that I can't get out.
And I
So you
can't-
said May 7th,
and I
right?
can't do anything until the evening because I
Yep.
have a training on that.
So May
on the
7th at 6 o'clock?
May 7th is a Sunday.
Yep.
I know.
What do we do if we have no applicants? You'll let us know and we won't have the meeting?
Yeah.
We could cancel the meeting.
Okay.
No. If we don't have any applicants, then we're appointing the board member who has already
Oh.
expressed
Yeah, right.
interest
Okay.
at that special meeting,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, yeah.
Or is that not?
Yeah, no, that,
I mean,
Yeah, that makes sense.
although, no, because we won't have all of our board members.
Yes, we
who
will.
won't we
On the
have?
6th.
On the 7th we will.
On the 7th, we will?
Yeah.
Okay,
7th.
sorry.
Okay, so
Okay.
I was in the middle of it, but I
Okay.
got derailed. Okay, so should I start over?
Sure.
I'd like to make a motion to put a notice in the paper advertising the position of supervisor as soon as possible, and that those applicants, should anyone apply, anyone who has applied will have a special meeting on the evening of May 7th at 6 o'clock to interview applicants.
What's the deadline gonna be for the application?
I don't know.
The 3rd?
4th?
The 3rd or the 4th, I would say, yeah.
So,
Okay.
and
talking
then,
the
and
6th.
then can you add also, double check right, that we'll decide on,
And does this also include that we would interview anybody from the board that's interested on that day? Okay.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Anyway.
and if no members of the public step forward, so if members of the public step forward, we should, I mean, this is, we're.
This is exactly what we did last time
Right.
and then decided we weren't happy with. Because we are writing a motion as we go.
And we're developing a
Well,
process.
but we're
I
just,
rescind my motion so far.
It's true.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Laura, that's not directed at you. It's just, it's the exact same thing that happened at the last meeting. And how do you vote on something that has been interjected on by 8 people?
Thank you. Right. You can't, but somebody's got to,
Well, we don't
we
have
have
a
to,
process.
we have to work it all out first and then make the motion.
So,
So we're
Maris,
tired,
you-
but we
you-
need to work it out.
Maris, you said you came with the process in mind, and the timing is a little bit different, but what, can you describe the process?
I think it's here. I mean, it's
But
right.
This isn't complete, I don't think, because it doesn't include, what do we do if we don't get any applicants? What do we do?
It does.
And then what do we do? Do we check references? I don't see that.
No, it doesn't
And
have
then-
anything
and then
about
we need the
references.
dates, too.
What's that?
We need to know the dates, when it's going to be due, when we're going to meet, when we're going to.
So we're
Well, right, but,
Yeah, but we have to figure that out together, isn't it?
yeah. I mean, I can't put that dates of when we're going to do all of this in a policy.
Yeah, but we're not establishing a policy, we're establishing a process.
Yeah,
to
this is, I
replace
mean, this
me.
is just a motion, and it sounds, at least to my ears, that you all basically have the dates to work with. You publish, you cut it off to all applicants on May 3rd, you hold a special meeting on May 7th, where you interview applicants.
And then we make the decision on May 16th. Check references and after we interview the applicants, and then we make a decision on May 16th.
We interview applicants on May 7th. We check references after that, and then we appoint, or we vote on the 17th, on May 17th. That means
May
May
16th.
16th.
At a regularly scheduled board meeting, Board of Trustees meeting.
All we have to do is figure out a special meeting. Why are we doing another policy?
This isn't
It's
a
not-
policy.
It's not a
It's
policy.
just-
It's
we're
a-
just doing
doing a
it's
motion?
This is a motion to schedule a special
I'm
meeting.
so tired and I'm confused now at this point.
We're
I'm just writing
figuring
down
out a
dates at this
process for what just got changed.
Yeah, so it would seem like you have the 3 dates you need for the motion. You have a special meeting, you have May 3rd as a cutoff, May 7th as a special meeting, May 16th to make a formal board decision on who will be the new
Okay.
supervisor.
Okay, so I'm going to try again. I'd like to make a motion to post the supervisor position on our website and in the paper and in the press immediately. The cutoff date for those applications will be May 3rd. We will hold a special meeting on May 7th at 6 o'clock to interview all applicants. We will check references of the priority candidates, and at our May 16th BOT meeting, we will vote on a new supervisor.
Somebody like to second that?
Second.
All in favor, say.
Wait,
Oh,
Kate,
sorry,
I'm
discussion?
sorry. Can you
Uh-huh.
say it one more time? I was trying my best to follow along. Can you state it one more time, Laura?
Honestly, but can you, did you get it, Janice?
I got most of it.
Yeah, I didn't write it down, so. Can you read it, Janice, please?
Post the supervisor's position on the website and press immediately. Have the cutoff date for applicants May 3rd. Schedule a special meeting May 7th at 6 p.m. For interviews.
Check
references of the priority candidates prior to the May 16th Board of Trustees meeting where a vote will be taken for the new supervisor.
That's right.
Can I make one addendum? Can we make sure we get copies of the applications before that the trustees get copies of the resumes prior to the December 7th meeting? So we know who we're talking to. And
So is the cutoff is when, the 3rd?
Third.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I don't want to come to a meeting and see information again 5 minutes before.
I'd be happy, like, if we're getting them to the township, I can scan them and send them off in emails.
Should we add that to the motion?
I don't think it needs to be added
Okay.
to the motion.
That's just a process.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Thank you, Janice. Was that clear
Thank you.
now,
Yes.
Lonnie?
Yep,
Okay.
I got all the dates down that time.
Okay.
I do have one question
yeah.
just about, and this is just me thinking
I
at,
seconded her motion.
Yeah.
okay, sorry.
We're in discussion.
And now we can
I
discuss.
thought Michelle did earlier.
Yeah.
Oh, was
Michelle
this
did.
an amendment?
Michelle did.
Oh, I see, I thought it was the amendment. I thought it was.
There wasn't an amendment, it was just a repeat.
Yeah, we just
Yeah.
repeated the motion.
We just repeated
I'm sure
it.
everybody understood what was said.
Okay, Lonnie?
So we say in there that we're going to interview priority candidates, And I just want to be clear, like, does that mean that in a public meeting, we are going to narrow down in front of the people who just interviewed and then
No, I
do
said we're going to check
references?
the references of priority candidates.
But who are
Okay.
You have to check the
That's
references
what-
of everybody.
that's what I mean. It feels like it
Okay.
might be
That's a very good point.
I just am trying to look forward so that as we're doing this, we don't run into it at that meeting.
Right.
Do we want to interview?
Now you're trying to weed out.
Yeah.
who-
Th-
Yeah, because
Now
I don't
we're
think
gonna
we're going to
interview-
get that, I don't think we'll get as many candidates as we did for trustee. I was about to say, do we really want to interview them all, but I doubt.
No.
Interview qualified
Okay, thank you.
candidates, yeah.
That answers my
So
question.
take out take out the piece around interviewing priority candidates. Just take out priority. I'm making an amendment to take out the piece of the language of the motion that, in reference to priority of the candidates.
And shall accept that amendment?
Yes.
Okay, we got it.
All in favor? Say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay,
I call to adjourn the meeting.
thank you.
Second.
Support. All in favor?
Second.
Aye.
Aye. Hey, 9:30. Can't wait to get certificate in line with each other.
You needed moonshine water is what you needed.